Today. Yesterday, the post-game show, to be honest with you, didn't really scratch the full surface of the game yesterday. It just didn't. And I want to get into it. We got four hours today to talk about this and to get into this and to discuss this and to break this down. And now we've got 2 weeks to let this thing marinate until the Packers end up in Chicago to face the Bears. But welcome into the program today on a Green and Gold Monday, and more green than gold. I got so much. Kind of on one hand, it's acceptance. On the other hand, I'm pissed because we always see things. Don't we? We see things and we talk about it. And then it starts to get us upset. And then there's that person. There's always that person. The green and gold glasses wearing. Don't worry about it. No. Hey, they won. They won. And you're right. You know what? Okay, it's a W, man. It's a W. And there are times where you just take the dub and you live to fight another day, right? Do that. It's good. We're all right. You can win ugly. Look at what the Chiefs are doing. Right? And then yesterday happens. And you say, no, damn it. No, I will not be talked into crap. No mo. I will not be. We did it with all of our teams this weekend. The Badgers should be effing embarrassed. The Bucs suck. And the Packers, the same problems, the same undisciplined crap we've talked about cost them a game yesterday. All of it. All of it. Oh, I'm fired up today. I am fired up today. We could take a day for each. But I'm fired up today. Welcome to the program on a Green and Gold Monday, the Bill Michaels Show. Call us 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to give us a shout, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Again, 877-867-1670. You can hit us up there. Then, if you want to text us, you can do so, 608-321-1670, 608-321-1670. That is the text line. If you want to watch the program, pay attention to the program, and I encourage you to do so, go to youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show, youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. You can watch it. You can listen to it. You can go back and check it out. You can pause it. You can rewind it. You can fast forward it. Whatever it is you want to do, you can do. That's a great way to pay attention to the program. Find us over on Twitter, over on X, at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels. There's a link that goes up there every time we go on the air. You can find Grant at Wisco Grant. The Instagram, Facebook, TikTok pages, the Bill Michaels Show. The Bill Michaels Show. You can find us on the Twitch app, on the Kick app, on the LinkedIn app as well. You can email the program, thebillmichaels@gmail.com, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. The website, simply billmichaels.com. You can also find us on the app, which is WZN, The Zone Madison. And then after the fact on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Podcasts as well. So wherever you get your favorite podcasts, all that kind of good stuff, then you're ready to go. So, Grant, I don't know how you woke up today. But me, I woke up I was madder this morning than I was yesterday after the game, to be honest with you.
About the Packers specifically?
Just in general, yes, about the Packers. And then I started off on other stuff, and I was going through that Badger game, which was absolutely atrocious. And the Bucs, Bucs fans, I don't even want to hear from you. I don't want you blowing any green and gold smoke up my rear end. You're full of crap. You're drinking the Kool-Aid. You're paying the prices. You're paying the beer prices. You're going down there and seeing a bunch of superstars who don't give two damns about playing true basketball anymore. It's all about me. It's all about the stats. Doc Rivers has 0. He should go to a proctologist. Somebody should reach up in there and try, blow with a straw, pop his balls out, because he has none. No balls at all. None. That team sucks. I mean sucks. Sucks bad. There you have it. 3 big teams, nada. There you go. Okay, now please continue.
The Packers, was I more mad? Normally I'm more mad the next morning, but I don't know. This is such an easy loss to talk about, in that we've seen them do this all season, right? This is nothing new. We're not discovering new ground here. They just can't catch the ball or avoid committing penalties. And then Jordan Love has one or two backbreaking mistakes, and we've already seen that 5 or 6 times this year. It's nothing new.
Yep. Wash, rinse, repeat. And what I noticed yesterday, and this was a microcosm of what we've talked about. And I look, I've said this and I'll scream it. I think Matt LaFleur is a hell of a head coach. Okay. Last year, I thought what he did and how he wrapped his arms around the organization, the whole thing, I think he did a magnificent job. The same problems keep cropping up and the same excuses keep being stated. You know, I'll go back and look at the tape crap. It doesn't cut it anymore. We can all see it. If you got to go back and look at the tape and you can't see it, then you shouldn't be a head coach in the National Football League anymore. Period. End of story. Period. Because we can all see it. It's the same crap. It's undisciplined, pre-snap penalties. Guys don't know what they're doing. And how in the world does a dome team who has never played outdoors all season long play so much better in the elements than you? You know what that is? And coaches will tell you that is concentration. That's all it is. It's concentration. Do your job right. That's it. That's all you have to work on. And that's what Dan Campbell instills in his team. It's the discipline. It's the concentration. Just do your job, and then do your job well, and do your job physically. That's it. And it was the same dumbass play out of Jordan Love. I don't want to hear the comparisons anymore to Brett Favre. No more, because Brett Favre had a cannon of an arm. We all know that. He fought and then threw it into some of these windows. And yes, he had the interceptions. I get all that. Okay, I understand. Jordan Love doesn't have that same arm. Doesn't have it. So you can't fire it through a brick wall. Okay. But when you make now 5 times in a year and a half, the same dumbass play, something is not registering in your mind. You either, and I think it's bits and pieces. Okay. Bits and pieces is this, where you go to the line of scrimmage and you know the play and you know what you're looking for. You see the defense, but in your mind, you forget what the down and distance is, or you forget what play it is, or you forget you have timeouts, or you forget you can live to fight another day. You're not pressed up against the wall for the clock all of a sudden. You understand that. Okay. He forgets the moment and yesterday, let me give you this real quick. Let me give you this. Yesterday after the game, and I wrote this down because it made my ass pucker. He said, Matt LaFleur said, quote, he's fighting and competing, end quote there. And then he went on to say, I don't question what he's trying to do, but he needs to do it better. You better question what he's trying to do, because he's doing the same dumb thing over and over again. You can't say, I don't question what he's trying to do. We don't question it either because we can see it. It's dumb. You can't keep giving the ball to the opponent and allowing them free points. You're not going to win that way. I get it. You got to, maybe behind closed doors, he's all over Jordan Love. I don't know. But you cannot continue to allow the same dumb mistakes. That's coaching. That's coaching. Any coach will tell you that. You may have a dumb guy on your team, but you have to, again, lower yourself to the lowest common denominator and then work with them to build them up. That's the way you coach. And if you got guys that can't figure out what the snap count is, continue to make stupid penalties, just dumbass penalties. Keyshawn Nixon, what are you doing? You know, you get the big return, you're taunting when you leave the sideline, dumbass penalties. What are you doing? You don't even get out the first play of the game as a kickoff, and you have a penalty. You had what was it, 10 penalties to their 5 last night, and 2 of those penalties came by Branch on one play. So you had 10 penalties basically to their 4, we'll say. Just dumb, stupid penalties. Jordan didn't see the defender. Then he says, well, the ball didn't go where I wanted it to. Duh. We saw this in Atlanta. We saw this in San Francisco. We've seen this act not that long ago, even out in L.A. When you did the same thing, you're going down and you're throwing it up and it's a pick six. You're going down, you're throwing it up last night and it's a pick six. How many more stupid plays are you going to have to commit before somebody finally says, Jordan, you might not want to do that anymore because you're putting your team in a bad position? It's mind-numbing that we see the same crap. And I don't want to hear about the drops. I don't want to hear about the weather. I loved Bill Huber's question yesterday. Loved it. Good job for Bill Huber. Jordan Love's at the podium, and he's talked about, he said, well, it was, maybe a little of the conditions, a lot of things we got to clean up, the fumbled snap. And then he said, well, the ball was wet, it was rainy, and we had our drops, and it just comes down to, making a play when conditions aren't perfect. And Bill, and you could have left it lay there. You could have just left it sit there, right? Nothing else could have been said. You could have just moved on. Bill Huber, God, I love Bill Huber. He should wear a cup made out of 2 5-gallon buckets for his balls. So he says, hey, Jordan, well, let me ask you this. The ball was wet, rainy, windy. The team that has never played outdoors this season handled it perfectly. Why didn't you? And in just a 6-word answer. He didn't want to say anything after that because Jordan, he had nowhere to go. You're in the corner, man. You have nowhere to go. He just said, just comes down to making plays. No, it comes down to concentration and not doing stupid things. That's what it comes down to. Disciplined football versus undisciplined football. Say what you want about Dan Campbell. You can call him a buffoon. You can say he's never going to win a Super Bowl. You can say whatever you want. But right now, he owns your ass. He owns you because he plays disciplined football. You don't. You got the good win last year over there in Detroit. Period. That's it. The rest of the time, he's been punching you in the head at Lambeau Field. It's mind-numbing. And now we see the same mistakes over each week. More picks, more penalties, just dumb plays. Guys don't know where they're supposed to be. Hey, Keyshawn Nixon, did anybody wake you up in the secondary yet? I just thought I'd ask, just to see if he's even alive. Keyshawn Nixon, Stokes is garbage. Quay Walker just stands straight up. You know what Quay Walker should have been in a past life? In a past life, Quay Walker didn't have any feet. He just had a wide bottom with sand, and he was just a big dummy, just standing there. That's all he's doing, a big dummy, just floating around, just big tackling dummy or blocking dummy. Can't get off a block to save his life. He can cover. He's got good speed. He can cover. There was a couple of times yesterday I actually saw him get in the hole when he wasn't really fully blocked. All of that. But still a good team. It is not all gloom and doom. Still a good team. And remember what they did in the second half of the season last year, okay? No doubt. But you keep making the same mistakes. Keep making the same mistakes. And you just can't have it. At some point, you got to learn from it. And at some point, the head coach has to learn from it and has to wrap his arms around the organization again and go, here you go. Here you go. You got to instill. You can't get outside of who you are, your personality, but you have to get at some point hard ass and say, this can't happen anymore. You can lose with anybody. You have to win with the right people that are committed to not making mistakes and committed to the concentration level that it takes to play the game of football. It's physical and it's mental, and they go hand in hand. So the whole thing about drop pass, well, they drop passes. His record would have been, but nope, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. It's a garbage, green and gold glasses wearing answer. That's exactly what it is. It's a garbage answer. It is an excuse-making, candy-ass answer. That's all it is. And you can't do that anymore because it was on full display. You had an opportunity to grab your division, and you blew it. I mean, it's just this game reminded me of the San Francisco game when they lost in the conditions at Lambeau Field because you're like, oh, here comes San Francisco. It's going to be a snow globe. This is going to be incredible. This sets up perfectly for the Green Bay Packers. And they laid an egg of epic proportion. I mean, they tore their own ring laying that egg. Yesterday, same thing. Same thing. Packers have lost both their divisional games at home. Just thought I'd throw that out there, by the way. So there you go. That is my opener today. Glad I went to the doctor earlier this morning.
Are you okay?
Just in case I keeled over and had a reason to do so.
Deep breaths?
Yeah. I had to take some deep breaths. So there you go. That's just it. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. The whole thing about Jordan Love, whether or not he should or shouldn't have played, a lot of Jordan Love not under center, a lot of shotgun, and that also hampers your offense yesterday.
Which it hampered him a lot less yesterday than it did against Jacksonville last week. I mean, they had 415 yards of offense.
Right.
It was weird. And his worst play, the interception, that had nothing to do with his injury. That was him just making a brain dead play.
Yep.
It's a really weird game to try to break down.
Yeah, it really. I mean, they ran the ball effectively. Josh Jacobs was a beast yesterday. There was a lot of good that you can take. There's a lot of good that you can take away from that game, but it's the same things that ultimately cost you. You know, when the game of football is a game of a couple of plays here and there, and you continually make the erroneous plays here and there, it's going to ultimately cost you. Look, you can go beat up on the Tennessees of the world and the Colts of the world and, you know, and the Jacksonvilles of the world, you know. But when it comes to your litmus test, that's why I said this is going to be your litmus test. This is the best team you're going to face. I think the Detroit Lions are the best team. They might be in football, but they're certainly the best team in the NFC. Maybe the Eagles, now that they're starting to flow in the right direction, but even the Eagles struggled a little bit yesterday. But I was so impressed because the Lions came in to a very difficult situation being that dome team, and they did not miss a beat. They didn't miss a beat. The stupidest thing they had was Branch in the ejection. And they gave the Packers 30 yards, and the Packers couldn't even convert. They couldn't put points on the board.
Well, the frustrating thing is the Packers offense didn't put Jared Goff in that offense under any pressure.
No.
Right? Like Jared Goff, they kind of just got to go into cruise control for probably the final half, right after that pick six. Like I would have liked to see what the Lions would have done offensively because they held them under 4 yards carry. I thought the Packers defense was fine. I thought they were solid in this game. Yeah. Jared Goff in that offense, they were never under any pressure past like 2 minutes left in the second quarter. It was really frustrating.
Yeah, the defense didn't play terribly. I mean, they only gave up 17 points. The pick six was, part of the 24.
And the Lions scored 50 and 40 something the last 2 weeks?
Right. So on one hand, I give them credit. But in certain areas for big plays, you just know it's coming, where it's like, they're going to miss, and they do. But down the stretch, I give them credit. It wasn't like, Detroit ran away with it. But I just, man, it's just tough to stomach, I guess, because the last 2 drives the Lions had, the Packers got off the field. Now, granted, they picked up a first down. I think there was about 8:40 to go, and it was 3rd and 3 from their own 16. And that's when they rip off the 5-yard run. Or no, it was a short pass to St. Brown, I think is what it was. It was a 5-yard pass. And then the Packers after that kind of held them deep in their own territory, and they forced them to punt. The Packers go on the long drive, and they get the touchdown, and then Detroit gets the ball back and basically runs the clock out, and people get all mad because they picked up the first down relatively easy. They go with the 20 or the 12-yard up the gut to Montgomery, 12 yards, and gets right past Ngabari before he finally drags him down. And then they go around to Montgomery again for 14 yards and pick up another first down. And there goes pretty much the opportunity for the Packers. But up until that point, the defense had actually played pretty decent. The series before that, they forced him to punt. So it wasn't until really the beginning of the third quarter when the Lions got the ball to start the second half that they went right down the field. And then you get that 4th and 1 where Jahmyr Gibbs goes right up the middle, 15 yards, no problem. They didn't go untouched. 15 yards in, nobody even touched him on that opening drive of the third quarter of the second half. And after that, the Packers defense kind of held their own. But the offense didn't really help them at all. So anyway, let's do this. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and I want to get to everybody. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, please feel free to go ahead and do so. And then you can also text us 608-321-1670, 608-321-1670. You can hit us up. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. And at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, you got until the end of the week. If you're thinking about windows and doors and your house got a little bit cold over the weekend and maybe the wind was howling through the windows and you're thinking, man, I might need windows and doors, now's the time to do it. You know why? 0% for up to 60 months if you get it booked by the weekend. Now, I'm not kidding you. For qualified buyers, 0%, 60 months, get it booked now. Whether it's beautification of your home, economical factor of your home, if you're thinking about just upgrading the value of your home, the curb appeal, whatever it happens to be, they've got something for everybody, and they have a showroom. They have a showroom in Wausau. I kid you not, in Wausau. That's the new one. They've got one in Green Bay. They've got one just west of Milwaukee in Brookfield, and they've got another one that is out there on the Beltline in Madison. They're all over. That's PellaWI.com. That's PellaWI.com. Give them a shout, PellaWI.com, or call them direct, 855-PELLA-WI. That's 855-PELLA-WI.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The kick is up and wide left.
Why don't they customize the goalposts?
Gina Della from Pella, how'd you get into the booth?
No, listen. If they made our goalposts just a little wider, and why just yellow? It's Green Bay. Add some green stripes.
Sure, Gina. Should they also remove the G at midfield and paint a Pella crest?
Okay, Wayne, I get it. You can't customize a football game to go the way you want, but Pella can customize your home the way you want. From durable materials and fold-away hardware to custom colors and ease of maintenance, backed by quality craftsmanship, energy efficiency, and warranties that will last for years.
And this has got to be the Pella Dagger.
Right now, get 0% interest for up to 60 months at PellaWI.com. Okay, now I've got popcorn and soda.
Right here.
$22.50, please.
Too bad we can't customize concession prices.
That's it. You got this, partner?
I'm out of here.
Hold your appointment on or before November 8th. Certain restrictions apply.
Wisconsin families are getting crushed today. We're paying more for food, clothes, gas than ever. Our open border has allowed over 10 million illegal immigrants into our country the last 4 years, driving up the cost of healthcare and housing for every one of us. For too long, these career politicians have failed our country. I'm not anything like these people. I'm a business guy who lives in a world where actually solving problems matters. I'm Eric Hovde, candidate for the U.S. Senate, and I approve this message because it's time for change.
Paid for by Hovde for Wisconsin.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
The fumble snaps, it comes down to the ball being wet, rainy, and we got to do a better job. The exchange between me and Elton, and that happened one too many times for sure. And then the drops comes down to just making plays when the conditions aren't the way, perfect. So obviously it was wet and too many drops.
Yeah, it was wet. I agree with that. It was wet. It was wet for the Lions, and they didn't seem to have the same issues. I get it. And he's not lying. But it comes down to concentration. It comes down to self-discipline. Period. End of story. Period. End of story. That's what that game came down to yesterday. It was certain plays, concentration, moving the chains, concentration on pre-snap penalties, because that's a lack of concentration, and concentration on drops, because that's a lack of concentration. If it hits you in both hands, in stride, and you drop the football, you can't, but I don't want to hear about wind. I don't want to hear about rain. I don't want to hear about cold. I don't want to hear about your mama calling your name before the game. I don't want to hear about any of that. It's concentration. That's what it comes down to, period. Period. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Burn Pit Barbecue. Go to burnpitbbq.com. That is burnpitbbq.com. And right now, this time of year, if you're looking for a griller, a gift for a griller in your life, or somebody that loves to smoke stuff, they've got sauces, rubs, hot sauces. They've got it all. That's our friends over there at burnpitbbq.com. And they're veteran-owned, based right here in the state of Wisconsin, in Racine, Wisconsin, to be exact. That's burnpitbbq.com. I don't want to hear about any of the excuses, because you can't say the same thing about the Lions. Then the question then becomes, why did the Lions not drop passes? Why were the Lions not offsides or have numerous false starts? Why didn't they commit 10 penalties throughout the day? Why did they execute? Why did they make the plays? Why were they in the right place at the right time when you've got receivers running downfield trying to make, something out of nothing while you're under pressure? And they didn't even have Aiden Hutchinson, by the way. I don't want to hear it.
Or Brian Branch, who is probably their next best
coverage guy. Which I saw a couple people say, or immediately get rid of him. He should be ejected. I didn't think he should be ejected for that hit. But I can't argue it either. But it was, No,
I looked at the NFL rule book. That's by the letter of the NFL law. That's something you get ejected for. Whether you agree with the rule or not is whatever. That is about as bad as you can get. Head right to the head after the ball was out of play.
Yeah.
But so give him 15 yards. I don't like throwing players out if it can be avoided.
I do say, when it comes to Quay Walker, Lucas Van Ness, Stokes, Keyshawn Nixon, you've got four guys that at any one point in time could be the weakest link on your defense. And the defense actually played decent. I mean, that's the argument is I'm not sitting here saying that this is a bad football team, because it's not. It's not a bad football team. They're by the way, they're an above average football team. Above average. They're just not the best. Do they have a legitimate shot? Sure they do. But they will have to put all of this garbage behind them and fix it for this team to have success going into the postseason. Period. Because the same crap keeps happening. It's one thing when you have a week where, man, it's just everybody was off. You know, that you understand. It's an anomaly. This, stupid passes, pick sixes, dumb penalties, pre-snap penalties, celebration stupidity, drops. That's concentration, man. That's your coaching. And I didn't like the game plan a lot yesterday either. There wasn't a whole lot of, what we have seen in the past. And the gimmick of Jayden Reed and the motion that Jayden Reed's bringing without the real threat of being able to run at this point. And there's no RPO because Jordan Love's, issues, which hopefully by the time he comes back to play Chicago in a couple of weeks are then in the rearview mirror. But some of that stuff, now you got to be even more innovative. You got to be even more innovative. So let's do this. Let's get to the phone calls. We got a lot of people on hold for this one. We got, by the way, coming up in about an hour from now, Eric Baranchek of the Green Bay Press Gazette. We'll talk with him. Mike Clemens going to join us at the end of the show today. So hang in there. When we come back, we're going to get to all the calls. Chris in Cottage Grove, Tim in Arizona, Adam in Houston, Texas. Don't go anywhere. The next segment dedicated to you. We'll get your voices heard. We'll start taking text messages and such as well. Don't go anywhere. Don't want you to go anywhere. I want to get everybody in on this. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Point Brewing. Brewing excellence since 1857 in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. Don't forget about all the fall and winter beers and the brews that they have, including the Amber Lager, which is right up there as kind of one of the staples, but also the Drop Dead Blonde, which is the one that I love so much. They have something for everybody, including the Cider Boys side of things. Don't forget, that's our friends at Point Brewing, brewing excellence since 1857.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Hard to find, streets of stone, modern warriors, satellite horses of chrome.
Tonight is Monday Night Football. I'm looking forward to it. You got the Chiefs, the Buccaneers tonight. Should be a pretty good game tonight. A little bit warmer weather today, too. And so it's regardless of the rain or not, I'm out underneath the tiki bar, so it's a grill out night. I've been looking forward to this. I had a great day on Saturday, kick back, put my feet up, watched some games, and then got to the debacle and disgusting performance that I saw out of the Badgers and just was like, shut that off, and then ended up going to a wine dinner that night. But, yeah, tonight's a Robert's night. Robert's Specialty Meats in Waukesha. I know some of you, and I thank you. A couple of people that I saw in the RV parking lot next to Burkle's, 1 block over, gave me a shout and said, hey. I think it was Jan. I can't remember. I hate to say that. I don't know the name. They yelled it to me, and I kind of blanked. But they pointed out, Roberts. They had Robert's Specialty Meats there. So it was kind of cool that they did that. Robert's Specialty Meats in Waukesha, whether it's the ribs on a stick, the Al Capone roast, the specially made sausages, the burgers, or maybe some of the deli stuff. They have got great macaroni salad, and they have all different types of potato salad, and they've got Wisconsin cheese spreads and so many different things. That's Robert's Specialty Meats Waukesha.com. That's Robert's Specialty Meats Waukesha.com. All right, let's do this. Let's get to everybody that's on hold. Let's go to Chris in Cottage Grove. Chris, you're first out of the chute today, man. What's going on?
Bill, thanks. First of all, awesome rant. I've been looking forward to this all day. Told the fellow cheap seater that I was going to call in, so here I am, first out of the chute. Told Grant as I was calling in, I'm like, there's one word to explain this game, and it's stupid. Stupid play calling, stupid sequencing, stupid game plan, stupid snaps, stupid penalties. Oh, my God, and the stupidest throw I've ever seen in my life. Matt LaFleur, I love him, but he had a serious case of cranius rectus insertus yesterday, and he needs to take himself, the rest of the team in those god-awful, ugly yellow helmets, and see a proctologist, get them removed over the next 2 weeks. This is a good team. They should have won that game yesterday, and they didn't because they were stupid.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. I appreciate the phone call, man. Whenever you get a cranius rectus invertus, you're off to a flying start. because you get it. It is a team that lacks two things: the concentration, the attention to detail, and that confidence of physicality. The Lions gave no Fs who you were yesterday. They mirror Dan Campbell. And I don't know why there are so many people that say Dan Campbell is not a good coach. Dan Campbell can't do this. He's never going to be this guy. They're going to be that guy. Or they're not going to win a chance. Look, the guy has done something that this team has not done since the 50s. Okay? They get a couple of wins in the postseason. They now are off to a 7-1 record. They're beating teams. You know, they lost Aiden Hutchinson, kind of the heart and soul of their team. He goes down. They just keep on going. Do they have the same level of pass rush? No. They're probably going to make a move today. A lot of rumors are that Zadarius Smith is going to end up in the Lions uniforms. But they love that guy. They love that guy. If you saw some of the pregame show yesterday with, Dan Campbell giving out game balls, and then Jared Goff, was it last week or the week before, they gave Dan Campbell the game ball for the toughness and the mental fortitude and all that stuff that they play with, all because of him. You can't deny that, man. There's something there. Now, if it lasts, it lasts. If it only lasts this year, it doesn't matter. For this season, they got it rolling right now. So give them credit. Give them credit. Let's go to our buddy Tim listening to us in Arizona. Tim, what is on the docket today, man? How you doing?
How you doing, Bill? Glad to have you. Well, while I was waiting my turn for the phone calls here, the Jordan Love bandwagon passed by my house, so I just waved it on bye-bye. Maybe they'll be in a couple of weeks or so. Maybe I just go. Okay. I knew we were going to lose the game because first, the way I look at it, I would have taken Malik Willis on two good legs than Jordan Love under 1.5. At least we could have given him some looks more under center and just different looks altogether. Like you said, the play point or the game plan, it was horrible. Like you said, I don't want excuses. I want results. I remember Edwards, the coach about the Jets, he says, you play to win the game. I don't care, Jordan, if you're making 55, 60, 100 million a year. I want to win the game. Malik, you get the start on this. And you can rest them all the way until San Francisco comes in. Dontavian Wicks. I call him now Dontavian Yips because he's got the same disease as MBS used to have.
Yeah.
Maybe they ought to show him an MBS highlight film, but I don't think there's much to show on that. And I'll close with good old Matt LaFleur's contract. I don't know how much years are left. But it's, you, Bill, you're at the stadium. I watch it on TV. My God, are they slow as molasses getting out of the gate in the first half? We're always playing catch up. And the other thing was, it all starts with him. You got to put a fire on these guys. This message is not getting through. And, when do you think the press or management is going to come down and say, hey, now, Matt, you've been here 6 years into this season. When are we going to start seeing a little bit closer a Super Bowl, toward getting toward a Super Bowl? So, Bill, I missed your opening rant. Once you finish up the show, I'll go back on the podcast on my YouTube, and I want to hear it because I tell you, that makes my day because at least I know you and I are on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
And Grant, both you guys, keep on doing a great job. I love you all.
Appreciate
Bye-bye.
it, buddy. Talk to you later, Tim. Tim out in Arizona. I don't think Matt LaFleur is a bad coach. That I don't. I think that it's, how do I put this? I think Matt LaFleur, in a lot of different ways, was handcuffed. You just, you can't say he's a bad coach and then in the same breath say that Jordan Love has to play within the system because the system is what Matt LaFleur brings to the table. I think what you can say is, I hate to use the word, I don't want to use the word soft, but there has to be an emphasis on the physicality and the commitment. There's a fine line, and I don't necessarily sit here today with an answer to this, but there is a fine line to the commitment to the non-mental mistakes while equaling the energy, the adrenaline of physicality. And right now, the Lions have that mix. They have that mix. They have one of the best teams in the red zone, where really they don't rank nearly as high, or at least what is perceived to be one of their weaknesses, is stopping the run and red zone defense. But their red zone offense, their commitment in the red zone, their commitment to not dropping passes, penalties, lack of thereof, all of that stuff, that's all discipline. That is all discipline, self-discipline, things that you have to go through. It's, I've talked to guys that have been in locker rooms and they go, oh man, they just keep harping on us on this. They keep harping on us this and this. And then all of a sudden you've got a team that is, not penalized. They don't have a lot of stupid mistakes. They don't have the drops. And they're like, and at the end of the season, they're like, yeah, they kept harping on us about the self-discipline, the concentration, the self-discipline. The rest of it comes. But this team makes the same mistakes every week. Every week. You can count on it. How many times have we seen an opening kickoff with a penalty? Just stupidity. It's because your adrenaline outweighs your concentration. And it's a fine line, and you got to figure out a way to do that. But man, it at times it is mind-numbing. It really is.
If you're going to complain about Matt LaFleur today, make it about attention to detail and focus and toughness. I thought the game plan was fine. The guys were wide open all day.
Yeah,
they dropped it when it hit them in the hands, and then Love missed a couple too. Like I thought the game plan was fine. Now, if you want to start Malik Willis and rest Jordan Love, fine, but don't act like Jordan Love. Oh, he could barely move and he could barely. I thought for the most part he looked fine. He just made a brain dead interception.
The two things that I saw yesterday that were specific to me. One was you just go back to the opening, and I think I wrote it down. Out of 13 plays, 11 of the 13 plays the Packers ran were out of shotgun. That to me right there was indicative. I mean, right away, the Lions knew it. He can't move. He can't run. So contain him, keep him in, and don't let anything get away from you. So that's when they decided to say, hey, we're going to try. The Packers tried to run the football, and they had some success in doing it yesterday. They had some success there. And you just look at what Josh Jacobs was able to do. 13 carries, 95 yards. At one point, though, I think he had like 10 carries for 89 yards. And they kind of got away from him, but totally they ran the ball for 138 yards. Now, in the second half, they were down, so they threw the ball a lot more.
That pick six kind of got them out of the run of the football business.
And it got them out of their game. You're 100% right. But yesterday, you look at the quarterback rating for Jordan Love, 69.7. No touchdowns. Then again, when you talk about mobility, he didn't get sacked yesterday. They didn't have a sack. They had pressures. They just didn't have a sack. But it was just... how many times you saw, I think it was Tucker Kraft drop one, Dobbs dropped one, Watson dropped one, Dontavian Wicks, 3 targets, no catches. That's embarrassing.
Chris Brooks dropped one that
he dropped one.
It could have been a better throw, but also, like, if you're going to beat the Lions, you need to make those plays.
I think if I'm not mistaken, I counted 5, but I think the official total yesterday coming out of Pro Football Focus was 7 drops. 7. Look at it this way. Amara St. Brown, 7 targets, 7 catches. Montgomery, 3 targets, 3 catches. Laporta, 3 targets, 2 catches. Patrick, 2 targets, 2 catches. Raymond, 1 target, 1 catch. Gibbs, 2 targets, 1 catch. Robinson, 1 target, a catch. Wright, 1 target, a catch. 18 for 22 for 145 yards. It's not like the Packers got smoked yesterday, statistically, because they didn't. They just couldn't convert on third down. They were only 25%. They were 3 of 12 yesterday, which is horrific. But they beat them in the total yardage category at 411 to 216. They beat them in the net rushing yards, 138 to 124. They beat them in the passing game, 273 to 137. But the pick six killed them, and the drops killed them. They were drive killers, and the penalties. 10 penalties yesterday, 67 yards. 5 penalties, 51 yards. 30 of those yards, though, came on 2 penalties on the same play. which was the branch play.
Which was a drive that didn't lead to a score, by
and
the
it
way.
didn't lead to a score, but it
Packers
took them,
got no points out of
it
that.
took them deep into Detroit territory, and Packers couldn't get anything out of it. We saw
Yes.
McManus, his very first miss as a Packer, and I'm not going off on that because he's been stellar, and I watched him in warmups, and the north end zone was much more difficult than the south end zone, and both kickers had problems there, and I get it. It's not great. It's the elements, and he's going to learn from it, but I'm going to wait and see on McManus because I don't think he's going to be Braden Narvison or Anders Carlson, that's for sure. But yeah, it was just a myriad of mistakes. Let's do this. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show on a Green and Gold Monday. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. We got more right after this.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The kick is up and wide left.
Why don't they customize the goalposts?
Gina Della from Pella, how'd you get into the booth?
No, listen. If they made our goalposts just a little wider, and why just yellow? It's Green Bay. Add some green stripes.
Sure, Gina. Should they also remove the G at midfield and paint a Pella crest?
Okay, Wayne, I get it. You can't customize a football game to go the way you want, but Pella can customize your home the way you want. From durable materials and fold-away hardware to custom colors and ease of maintenance, backed by quality craftsmanship, energy efficiency, and warranties that will last for years.
And this has got to be the Pella Dagger.
Right now, get 0% interest for up to 60 months at PellaWI.com. Okay, now I've got popcorn and soda.
Right here.
$22.50, please.
Too bad we can't customize concession prices.
That's it. You got this, partner? I'm out of here.
Hold your appointment on or before November 8th. Certain restrictions apply.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at Calderone Club, the best Italian food you're ever going to put in your mouth. Downtown Milwaukee, right across the street from the Hyatt Hotel on Old World 3rd Street. The spaghetti and meatballs, thin crust pizza, fantastic. San Giorgio right next to that, which is the authentic Napolitana pizzeria. You can't go wrong. Either place, fantastic. Calderone Club in San Giorgio, 838 Old World 3rd Street, downtown Milwaukee. Let's see here. Who else do we have? Over on the let's get real
empty phones. We might have some people coming back after 11 o'clock, but I told them, yeah.
Okay, cool. I wanted to make sure because we didn't get everybody in. So I know that Adam in Houston, Texas was on a hold. So I wanted to make sure we got him in. If you want to get a hold of us, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Got our text line, which is wide open as well. And I want to get to as many of you today as I possibly can, because yesterday I didn't get to nearly as many people. Hey, Bill, the defense did enough to win the game, held the Lions to 17, but the pick six, the missed field goal just took the energy out of them, and the drop passes were inexcusable and drive killers. Once again, the Packers just didn't seem to match the energy of the other team. That's from Brad in Sturgeon Bay. Brad, that's basically it. Without me going into my giant rant, that's basically it. Really a rough game yesterday. Thomas in La Crosse says, got to give credit to the Lions who played really well, but should we have rested Love with the groin and started Malik instead? I think the only way you would determine that is if you'd say you couldn't run your full game plan and you couldn't do everything you needed to do. But he didn't get sacked. It wasn't like he was just beat up and couldn't move back there. The only difference was he wasn't under center nearly as much as he has been in the past. Out of the 920, this is Mitch in Madison, a.k.a. the gold package defender. The penalties and the drops have to get cleaned up. So sick of seeing them get their butts handed them at home. Fans deserve better. Mitch in Madison, the a.k.a. gold package defender. I want to talk about that, too. I don't want to hear about that crap anymore either. Not at all. Let's do this. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break, but we got 3 more hours yet to go. And by the way, Mike Clemens will be in studio today. In studio. Don't go anywhere. It's a Green and Gold Monday. We're not done. Not done by any stretch. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, at a rainy Lambeau Field and many drop passes, and Jordan Love going 23 of 39 for 273 yards and no touchdown pass, but a bad pick six, the Packers would lose to the Lions 24-14. Jordan Love has now thrown 10 interceptions on 240 pass attempts this season. He reacts to that.
It's definitely disappointing. Putting the ball in jeopardy way too many times, and definitely something I have to clean up. And I've talked about it week after week. So somewhere I just got to learn from these mistakes and clean it up.
The Packers also committed 10 penalties, which Coach Matt LaFleur said they needed to clean up.
I was disappointed with the number of penalties and just self-inflicted wounds that we had, and you can't do that against a really good football team.
Green Bay now sits 6-3 on the year and have their bye week upcoming. Turning to the Badgers, they would give up 329 rushing yards, the most since 2012, and would get embarrassed by the Iowa Hawkeyes, losing 42-20 at Iowa City. Quarterback Braden Locke would go 15 of 29 for 137 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 costly interceptions, sending the Badgers to 5-4 on the year. They'll have their bye this week before welcoming in number 1 Oregon to the camp on Saturday, November 16th.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Farmers deal with a lot, including long days, stress, and fatigue. This is your reminder to take breaks, stretch, have a snack, and hydrate your body. Avoid farm accidents by keeping yourself healthy. Visit ruralmutual.com to learn how Rural Mutual supports Wisconsin farmers and prioritize safety on the farm.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Saturday saw the Milwaukee Bucks lose again, 114-113 to the Cleveland Cavaliers. They now sit 1-5 on the year, good for last in the Eastern Conference. Will face off against the Cavs again tonight. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Welcome in, all of you now on the network. We certainly appreciate you being here. Thanks for hanging out with us. On this Green and Gold Monday, Packers beat yesterday 24-14 to the Lions. 7 of those, a pick 6, as we all know. Too many penalties, same mistakes, lack of concentration, drop passes. It ultimately did them in. And the Packers yesterday kind of succumbed to their own implosion, for lack of a better term. If you want to get a hold of us, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to text us, 608-321-1670, 608-321-1670. Find us and watch us and subscribe to us on YouTube. It's free, by the way. Absolutely free. Go to youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. You can find us on Twitter over there on X if you choose to do so. At Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels. You can find Grant at Wisco Grant. We are on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, the Bill Michaels Show. The Bill Michaels Show. Over on Twitch, Kick, and LinkedIn on the apps, you can find us simply under, Bill Michaels Show or Bill Michaels. And then email the program, BillMichaels@gmail.com. And the website, simply thebillmichaels.com. On the app, WOZN, The Zone Madison, And then after the fact on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your favorite podcast, there you go. The Jordan Love discussion. I wanted to get into this because the first hour I ranted. The second hour, I wanted to get into this. I had more than a few people yesterday say, one specific email, and I'll read that coming up, but say that, I was wrong. I've been fooled. I've been duped. He's really not that good. They overpaid him. We're stuck with him. And I'm not going there. I'm not going to go there because the one thing about Jordan Love this season, he has had moments where he has played extremely well. He has shown flashes of what we saw in the second half of the season last year. And he's been banged up. You like it or not, you want to see him play the exact same when you're banged up, but sometimes you just can't. We have become accustomed to guys like Favre and guys like Rodgers who play hurt and still play extremely well. We have seen that at times out of Jordan Love, but it's the bad decision. If he doesn't throw the pick 6 yesterday, it's a different game. The problem is, it's not, you can't blame that. You can't blame that on the injury. And that's the problem, is it's not the injury that's been costing him. The injury has changed the dynamic of the offense because there are certain things they don't do, such as putting him under center and the RPOs and such. Not that they ran a ton of them to begin with, but they did certain things to keep you honest that they can't do right now. But the injury has not hindered him to the point that his decision-making has become impaired. That has nothing to do with the injury. Now, some passes have been high. They floated a little bit. When you're moving and you're on the run and you can't plant and you can't have the same base that you should have, that you are taught to have, that I'm sure Tom Clements goes over and over and over again saying, look, you're banged up. You have to have a better base now than before. So yeah, that some of those passes are going to be a little off. But yeah, and you mentioned the bad snap yesterday, Rick. You're right. The problem was with Elton Jenkins at center with a couple of the bad snaps, Jordan Love didn't even look like he could bend over to get it. So in that sense, you can say the injury hampered him a little bit. But to me, it was more some of the decision-making. There was a couple of passes he threw yesterday that I mean, I don't know if I bothered the people next to me, but I'm already like, no. And he was throwing it anyway. And now it didn't get picked off, but they were bad passes. He threw into areas he shouldn't have been throwing to. There was one yesterday where he threw to Tucker Kraft on a quick crossing pattern, and it was a mirrored crossing pattern over the top. I think it was Jaden Reed. And he locked on Tucker Kraft, completely ignored the receiver behind him that was running 3 steps ahead of the coverage, wide open. It was a touchdown, but he threw to Tucker Kraft. Some of the decision-making I've begun to question. And I didn't really do that last year. I thought, oh, this guy's got it. He mentally gets it. He's on the same page with these guys. But now, granted, there are every receiver on this team, I think, has 20-plus targets, which is unheard of, which means they spread the ball around extremely well. So it's not like he's locking on guys all the time, but there are times where he just misses it. And every quarterback misses, don't get me wrong, but not like that, not consistently. But you can see it. You can see certain times where it's like, oh my God, this guy's open. All you got to do is throw it. And he doesn't see him. And what's getting more concerning is this is a couple of times now where he said, I didn't see the defender. I didn't see him. Yesterday in the pick six, I didn't see him. That bubble screen they tried to run with the wide receiver screen, didn't see him. It was a garbage. I mean, that should have been a pick six.
The opposite of Badgers quarterback Braden Locke last week throws the pick six, and then when he's asked about it, oh yeah, I saw him. And we're like, well then why would you throw it? Why'd you throw it?
Why would you throw it?
Ass.
So it's I can't sit here and go, well, they should have played Malik Willis. I don't know if you could say that.
They had guys open. The plays the way that I saw it, the plays that were called and the offense that was installed over the week and ran was working. It's that they committed a ton of penalties. Wide receivers dropped a bunch of passes, and Jordan Love missed a ball or two. But in the rain, like you'll have that. I thought Love outside of the interception was fine. I wasn't really thinking about Malik Willis yesterday.
I wasn't either. I think what people started to think about Malik Willis was when drives would stall. Well, Malik Willis would have ran for it. Well, you just don't know. The problem that I had yesterday was the myriad of excuses. And my dad always said that there was a saying in the Army that excuses are the bricks that pave your highway to hell. And I've never forgot that. And that's what I heard a lot of yesterday. Well, it was windy. Well, it was wet. Well, it was cold. Well, the field, this, that. I mean, it's like, stop. You can't say that when the other team handles it masterfully. And this game specifically, I mean, if this would have been a game where two outdoor, say you're playing the Bears and it's bad weather, the field's breaking up, both teams are having trouble hanging onto the football, you could say, okay, that it was problematic. There was something else going on there. You can't say that about yesterday because the team that everybody felt was at a severe disadvantage, that weather was going to be the ultimate equalizer in this game. They handled it like they've been playing in it all season long, and the team that plays in it all season long didn't handle it well at all. That is coaching, my friends. That is getting your team to a level of concentration to where that does not happen. And Dan Campbell did his job, and Matt LaFleur didn't. Period. 877-867-1670. You want to find us, please feel free. Go ahead and do so. Again, 877-867-1670 out of the 507. I can't even, what? I lived in Milwaukee in the 60s, no school. What? It's written in some kind of hieroglyphics. David Monona, same player mistakes, same coaching mistakes, same special team mistakes. When is the time to make a change as a whole in the organization? Well, you're not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'll tell you that. You might make a change when it comes to, say, your special teams coordinator. Although yesterday, special teams short of the missed field goal wasn't bad. You had a couple of big returns. It's just that Keyshawn Nixon what did he do? I didn't even see what he did in the beginning. I'm like, why was that even a penalty?
I don't think he did anything. I think what happened was he was running out of bounds, and then he got one last little shove, which I think was fine. I don't think it was a late hit, but that kind of speed boosted him towards the bench. And you can speak to this more than me. They lay that tarp down.
Yeah.
That plastic. Right. And I think players, when they run through there, they take their time slowing down because they don't want to slip. And he had to jump over a cooler, and I think he might have bumped a coach. And I think they thought that he went running into a coach. That had to be what they were calling, because that was really the only thing that
I
happened.
couldn't see it. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
There was nothing on it's not like they went into it on the broadcast. I was like, well, here it is. They just moved on.
Yeah, I didn't see it, but that's what happened. So, and I can't even really sit here and go, Keyshawn Nixon, you're stupid, because I didn't really see him do anything.
I think he does do dumb things.
I think he does, but that wasn't, it's kind of like for the stupid things that you've done that you didn't get called, that was one you got called on when you didn't really do anything. But, I didn't get it. But beyond that, I don't think special teams was really bad. I don't think they were horrific yesterday. It looks like a lot of things have been kind of shored up, if you will. But yeah, I didn't see that. Out of the 920, hey Bill, Stephen Green Bay here. When are we going to get a team that after each game they stop saying all of our mistakes are fixable? It's the same each week. So who is the one holding them responsible for getting the mistakes fixed? Because it's not happening. Each loss for this team is because they continually have self-inflicted issues. They have beat themselves in each game so far. This really ends up being the issue in every Matt LaFleur team. They're good enough to make the same mistakes over and over again and to beat up bad teams or mediocre teams. Then they have a little bit of luck of the draw with decent teams, and then they lose to the really good teams. It wouldn't be so upsetting if the Lions actually kicked their asses and not the Packers kicking their own. The Packers lost via their own in this game yesterday, for the most part. The Packers lost, for the most part, in the first half of the game against the Vikings. And they couldn't convert in the red zone against the Eagles. Otherwise, they probably win that game. I mean, that's why I say, like, this is not a bad team. It's not a bad football team. It's an undisciplined football team when it comes to certain aspects of their game. And their level of concentration is not where it needs to be. Nobody goes out there looking to make mistakes. Nobody goes out there lackadaisical and just doesn't care. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there is a level that you have to train yourself to be at to be great. Do the Packers have that potential? Absolutely. I think they lack talent in certain areas, and it's starting to become more and more visible. But there are certain things that they do that are just dumb. And that's the reason you can't get over the hump. It's not because the other team's out there kicking your ass, because they're not. At times you get out physicaled, but physicality put together with self-discipline and concentration looks so much more assured than it does just going out there and running at times willy-nilly and making your own self-inflicted mistakes. I guess that might be the best way to put it. Let's do this. We'll step aside. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. More of the Bill Michaels Show on a Monday coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Coming up bottom of the hour, Eric Branchek of the Green Bay Press-Gazette is going to join us. We'll talk with him. Break down the film. Talk about some of the mistakes the Packers had yesterday and how and what they're going to need to do to fix the problems. Hey, great day yesterday, by the way, at Burkle's one block over. Had a really good crowd last night, albeit a wet, upset crowd, but we had a really good crowd last night. And thanks, everybody, for stopping by. We certainly appreciate you hanging out with us. And also, I got to say thanks to our friends out there at Every Plumbing and Heating in La Crosse, serving La Crosse and Trempealeau, Monroe, Vernon, Jackson County. And I know Craig Every, big Packers fan, watching the game yesterday. Talked to a couple of people that were from the La Crosse area. They love that we rep the La Crosse area so many times with all the local businesses out there. Every Plumbing and Heating, 3 generations deep now. They keep hiring great people, licensed people, plumbers, technicians, all that kind of good stuff. And now is the time that if you have not done it already and kicked on your heat, you may want to get your thing checked. Your boiler, you get your furnace, make sure your filters are clean, all that kind of good stuff. And pilot lights are all good to go. And those are the people to call, Every Plumbing and Heating. And if you've got, say, a kitchen remodel or a bath remodel, give them a call for that as well. 608-783-2803, 608-783-2803. That is Every Plumbing and Heating. Big time. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. We got Doug in Luxembourg. Doug, how you doing today, man? What's up?
So Doug dropped off, but I give you Pete and Marinette took his spot.
Pete and Marinette, how are we doing today, man? What's happening?
Hi, Bill. Really enjoy your show. Listen to it every day.
Thank you.
I just wanted to know, do you think if LaFleur had it all over to do again, he'd go with Willis, a healthy Willis versus a unhealthy Jordan? It just didn't make any sense to me because with Willis, at least we got the dual threat. And with Love, he was a one-dimensional player.
That's a great question. I appreciate the phone call. Thanks for listening up in Menominee, Marinette, man. Love that area. As a matter of fact, I was just talking to the gang from Forgotten Fire Winery over the weekend. And maybe we'll get up there and do something with them this year. So kind of looking forward to that if we can. I don't think he would do it over again in the sense of not playing Jordan Love. I think 2 things. One, he would tell Jordan, if you're going down, don't do anything stupid. Keep concentration on the football. The second thing he would do is maybe work in Malik Willis into a package of some type. But I don't think there was – I think if Matt had it to do over again, I think what he would do is go back to Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday's practice and harp more on it's going to be inclement. You have to up your level of concentration. You can't run without the football. You can't commit stupid penalties. You have to listen to what the cadence is. You have to understand the down and distance. You have to be more cerebral. It's the stupid mistakes that are costing this team. I think he'd probably go back and pay more attention to that if he had it to do over again. I don't think Jordan Love played terribly. I just don't think he played great. And yesterday, in certain moments, you needed great, and you didn't get it. Because they didn't get blown out. You know, and Grant, you said it before. It was the pick six took the air out of the balloon. That was Lambeau Field.
Yeah, they could have gone into halftime.
Right.
You know what? If they, let's say conservatively, if they get a field goal there, what would the score have been, like 6-14 or something? It would have been right there. I don't think that score's right, but you know what I mean. It would have been right there, and you go into halftime saying, all right, we clean this stuff up. Our defense is playing well. We can go out and win this game at home in the second half.
Right. I agree with that. That it could have changed. It just didn't. Let's go to Joe listening to us in Stevens Point. Joe, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Hey, great. Guys, thanks for taking my call. Listen, you just stole my thunder a little bit, but my question is, I think so far the Packers have been looking at this as it's either Jordan Love, or if he's hurt, then Malik Willis plays. And my question to everybody throwing it out is, could they game plan Malik Willis a little bit more, give him a handful of plays, maybe some situational stuff or whatever, and just get him on the field a little more, give our opponents something else to game plan to? And I'm just curious about your thoughts on that, even when Jordan Love is healthy.
Yeah, no, appreciate the phone call. I think they could have done a few things for Malik Willis, a couple of more RPO type of stuff to where, you know, he could have thrown the ball, he could have ran the ball, he could have handed the ball off. That would have given you at least, as far as the defense goes, something more to think about, because it became obvious that Jordan Love was not going to be running around too much. It wasn't like he was taking off yesterday. He wasn't going to be running the football. As a matter of fact, yesterday, when you look at the final stats, Jordan Love, they have him down for 3 carries and no yards, but he didn't run the ball. It was more scrambling around, trying not to get sacked. His longest run of the day was for 0 yards. I mean, everything was pretty much at the line of scrimmage. That was it.
When Jordan Love got hurt in Jacksonville last week and they kind of had to adjust the game plan, they couldn't operate. It completely threw off what they were doing. This week, they game planned with the idea that we're probably not going to have Jordan Love under center as much, and the offense looked normal. Yeah. I know people are mad about the play calling. The balls were going to receivers and they were dropped, or throws were being missed. Like, I thought the offense ran fine with Leveline the way that he was yesterday.
Yeah, they had, 136 yards. If you take away the Tucker Kraft 2-yard run, I think it was 136 yards in the ground. So it wasn't like they didn't run the football and didn't have something in place. Josh Jacobs, Wilson, Brooks, they were able to move the ball. Everybody yesterday, and the one thing that the Lions don't do well is defend the runs. Everybody yesterday, between those three, Jacobs, Wilson, and Brooks, they were all over 6 yards a carry. So I thought that took a lot of pressure off of Jordan Love, and you kind of knew it was coming, and they were doing it out of shotgun, which wasn't terrible. I think how much more you could have had you had a couple of RPOs and a guy like Malik Willis, maybe doing a few rollouts with the ability to either hand the ball off or do a little bit of a fake and then kind of create his own lane, because they weren't great at collapsing the edges either. And I don't think the pass game was terrible, but 23 of 39 with 16 incomplete passes with 7 drops. That would have been 9 drops. You'd have been 31 of 39 for God knows what, over 300 yards at that point, had some of those not been dropped and converted. And maybe you're talking about a different game. That's what I'm saying. I don't think Matt LaFleur would have done a ton different other than going back to Wednesday's practice, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, emphasizing you have to be mentally tough. It's not so much about the physical game of it. It had to be mentally tough. Now, all of that combined with we're not taking your crap and we're coming in to kick your ass. I mean, Amara St. Brown kind of set the tone when he got off the bus and was wearing the shirts that says Green Bay sucks. I mean, that was their mentality coming into this game. And they lived up to it. Jim in Green Bay. Jim, welcome to the program, man. How you doing today? What's going on?
Hey, I'm doing okay. And you just touched on what I think is the main thing that everybody's missing. It's the total mindset of the Detroit Lions coaching staff versus the Packers coaching staff. If you go back to the beginning of that game, we controlled it for 7-8 minutes, but what we had to do, kick a field goal again. Dan Campbell knows touchdowns wins games. He drove down. He ended up with a 4th down and goal. He went for it, scored a touchdown, and bang, they're up 7-3. The total different mentality of the two coaching staffs. Detroit was playing to win. Green Bay's playing not to lose. I think the game was lost right away in those first 2 drives. That's all I got to say.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. I don't know if you play not to lose. You play to be aggressive and you play to win the game. But I think when you came away from the 30-plus yards given to you by the branch penalties and you didn't have anything to show for it, that was deflating. And then the pick six happens after that, and the air went out of the sails. But at that point, that's when you really need – my question is this, and I was thinking about this yesterday. I was watching Jared – the distinct difference of 2 different sidelines. I was watching Jared Goff, and he was going after his guys in a positive way. It wasn't like he was screaming at him negatively. It was going after him in a positive way. I had the binoculars on him, like when he came off the field. Jordan Love comes off the field and goes to the bench very much like Aaron Rodgers, very Aaron Rodgers-esque. Sits down, Malik Willis next to him. There's the coaches, the Surface Pros. You're looking at stuff. And then, you sit there for a little bit, you talk, and then they get up, put the helmet on, and they're waiting for their series to come about. And I don't want to get into there's no rah-rah or no leadership in Jordan Love, because that's not what I'm going to say. What I'm saying is Jared Goff's been there, done that. He's got a level of leadership that he's earned as a veteran, and his voice carries weight. I don't know who on this team whose voice carries weight right now. I don't know. I mean, you would assume Jordan Love's does because he is your quasi-leader, but I don't know who carries weight. Is it Josh Jacobs? Carries weight? Because everybody's young. I don't know who carries weight. Defensively speaking, who would carry Kenny Clark? Xavier McKinney? I don't know who carries weight. But I saw yesterday a difference there as well. By the way, if you didn't know, Dennis Allen has been fired as the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. 7 straight losses now. And they have said enough is enough. Hey, real quick, before we get to Eric Baranchek, Dwayne listening to us in Darlington. Dwayne, how you doing, man? What's going on?
Doing good. I got 3 points for you.
Sure.
The first, they got to do something with Love throwing them interceptions like that. You got to take better care of the football. I don't know how they can get it through to him, but that's the second game that he's done that and really cost him the game.
Yeah.
The second point is the weather, the way it was, they had a backup center in, and about halfway through the game, after 2 or 3 of them snaps, I was thinking, would Willis be much better where they're under center instead of having a backup center trying to snap and shotgun with the wet ball all the time?
Right. That's a great point.
And my third point is on defense with Quay Walker. I don't know if you've seen the game tape yet, but on both them touchdowns on the 4th down plays, the first play where they threw the touchdown to St. Brown, he was blitzing up the middle, wide open gap, and he stops at the line of scrimmage, slows down, probably cost him 2 steps where he could have been at the quarterback to make a hit on him, and he could have got that ball off.
Mm-hmm.
And on the second one, on the run to Gibbs, he was out in the hole and gets one arm on him. A linebacker's got to be better than that.
Yeah. No, I would agree.
And he's been like that all year. He can't play against the run, and for some reason he's always hesitant. Even when on his blitzes, he's always a step or 2 late.
Yeah. He plays straight up. He doesn't have a downhill mentality. He plays straight up. He's always, sometimes you got to have a reckless abandon playing that position. You have to be smart, but you have to have a kind of a reckless abandon. He doesn't have that. Not consistently that I've seen. I don't want to say it's soft, but it's not. He's not blowing up holes. He's not blowing up running backs in the hole. He's not blowing up offensive linemen coming at him. He's not stalemating anybody. He's always backpedaling and then trying to get off the block by sticking an arm out and grabbing somebody and not activating the play. He is reacting to the play.
I was going to add, he doesn't dictate the terms.
No.
Ever. He's reacting to someone else. Never has Quay Walker ever come up the middle to make a play and a blocker goes, oh my God, I gotta react to, look at him. He's coming flying in. It's always him playing on the terms of the blocker or the offensive lineman. Always.
Let's do this. We'll step out. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. Eric Baranchuk of the Green Bay Press Gazette going to join us. That is coming up next on this Green and Gold Monday right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Rake in a big win this November at Potawatomi. Go head-to-head in the Cash Clash game show for your share of $300,000 in cash and prizes. Just play with your rewards card for entries. Prize drawings on Thursdays. The Cash Clash game show at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. Your win is waiting. More info at paysbig.com. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. The Bill Michaels Show on this kind of a little bit warmer today, but kind of a little bit of a dreary Monday. Welcome back to the program. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Marquardt RV, with RV locations all over the state of Wisconsin, 7 of them to be exact, whether it's a Tiffin motor coach that you're looking for, a beautiful motorhome, or Winnebago, or Gulfstream, or Cruiser, or Jayco, or Forest River, Glacier, Heartland, Alliance. I can go on and on. They have the buying power for all of them. All of them. That is Marquardt RV, MARKQUART, Marquardt RV. 7 locations. Go to marquardtrv.com. That is marquardtrv.com. Joining us now on the hotline, our guy Eric Branchek of the Green Bay Press Gazette. And Eric, I can start with so many different things, but again, you're talking about a team that kind of shot themselves in the foot. The pick 6, another stupid play out of Jordan Love, undisciplined when it comes to pre-snap penalties. Things that we just talk about over and over again that kill drives and kill opportunities, and they couldn't take advantage of it against a very good football team who didn't make mistakes yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Matt LaFleur, the best thing about waking up this morning is that there's only one more day of these rotten committed political ads you got to listen to every time you flip on the TV and the radio, for God's sake.
Right.
Oh, God. I mean, seriously, you just want to go, if you're Matt, you just want to go back to bed.
Right.
We talked last week about the game plan coming into this game is that the way to beat the Lions is to run the ball and run the ball and run the ball. And then they were on schedule. They were, they had the red zone problems was an issue. So you get down the red zone, you got to kick a field goal. All right. We can live with that, I guess. But they were set up. Yes, it was 10-3 right before half. And it was set up. You can see the safety starting to lean. There was opportunities where there was going to happen in the second half, and then we get the resurgence of Brett Favre again into Jordan Love, and that took the entire game off track. Everything is off schedule. Now you're down 17-3. They come out, score a touchdown, and it's 24-3, and you are completely off track. You can't run the ball anymore. You can't take advantage of aggressive safeties and aggressive linebackers, because now the whole building and millions of people at home know everything that you're going to do. You're going to start winging it. And unfortunately, that's, they got hung up there, and that was too little too late. Some drop passes, some stupid penalties. A couple of bad breaks with you're in the red zone there, and you have 2 bad snaps, and now it's over. So you're right. It was self-inflicted wounds right out, and it got out of control. They couldn't rein it back in.
When you see the same thing, and I said this earlier, and you tell me if you agree or not. When I see a team that, again, a lot of pre-snap penalties, dropped passes, your quarterback makes the same stupid mistake. He's going down. You get it. He's trying to fight. And as a matter of fact, I used Matt LaFleur's words earlier today when he said he's fighting and competing. I don't question what he's trying to do, but he needs to do it better. And I'm like, no, you need to question what he's doing, because now he's cost you 14 points on 2 bad throws that were just dumb, for lack of a better term. those are the things that you do it once, it's one thing, but when you see them starting to happen over and over again on 5 dumb passes now in a year and a half that ended up costing you games, that to me, you start getting into the coaching side of things, because there has to be a level of concentration and a demand of level of concentration, because concentration goes into the physicality factor. If you're doing everything right, you can then become more physical rather than just sitting there and trying to think about certain things. It seems like they just have misses when it comes to self-discipline.
Absolutely. You're 100% right. And they got to strap that down right now. And they got to make it a priority to knock this off, because they're not good enough to overcome a pick six in a tight ball game. They're not good enough to jump off sides a bunch of times. They're not good enough to have a bunch of snaps. They're poor in the red zone. And honestly, I'm telling you one thing: if I'm setting down Wicks and I'm saying, listen, son, we love the way you run routes. You are crisp. You are angular. You are long. You have a ton of physical ability. The problem isn't your body. The problem is your hands, and that's concentration. And I'm going to introduce you to this thing. It's called the jug machine, and I'm going to turn it up, and you're going to stand there and catch that thing. And until you can catch in ball games, you ain't playing, because he's a liability on the field. Run him out there and have him as a blocker if you need to, or whatever you got to do if you need a body out there. But you can't throw him the ball anymore. Dropping passes like that, and then you have the drop touchdown by the running back. That's 14 points right there. Mm-hmm. They add up, and the problem is they're not good enough as a team to overcome this. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, they gave up 17 points to the Detroit Lions, and 124 yards on the ground, and in the first half, 54 yards on the ground, and they were on the way to making that quarterback beat you. The problem is the score got out of control, and then it was over. But the reality is that the game plan going in there, and you saw it, they were pretty tough on the run. They had a couple of miscues, no question. The 15-yarder was 2 guys going into the same gap. That can't happen, and it goes for a touchdown. But by and large, it was good, and they were going to be in the position in the second half to make Goff beat you, which I don't think he can. And I don't think the Packers think he could, because otherwise they wouldn't have played the way they played in the first half. And it just fizzled on a stupid interception. But hats off. I thought the defense giving up 17 points, that was a really good effort out there. And you can't point the fingers there. The finger is slowly being pointed at the quarterback and making silly decisions.
I want to go with the defense for just a second. I watched at times. I had the binoculars on Quay Walker. Stokes got pulled after the first couple of series in that ball game. Nixon at times making really dumb plays. I'm sure there's a handful of other guys, but those 3 guys specifically, even Lucas Van Ness to a certain extent, where you're not seeing much out of him. What do you see? Because I'll sit and watch him and I'll go, wow, I got a guy standing straight up. He doesn't get out over his skis. He doesn't run downhill. He's getting pushed 5 yards downfield, sticking his arm out, trying to make a tackle. And every now and then he grabs on and gets credit for one. In Walker, I see Stokes that doesn't know exactly where he's supposed to go. And when he does, he just flat out gets beat. I've seen Keyshawn Nixon make some really bad mistakes and bite on fakes. So you tell me where you think this defense is right now.
I think it's a middle of the pack defense. They're not terrible. They're not great. They're not exceptional. And they're going to live and die by the turnovers to if they're going to accelerate, playing better football. But 17 points is not a bad effort. Yes. That's the knock on Stokes. He's got all the physical tools, but the guy, last week, this week, he just makes. It's like he doesn't understand the call, or probably more importantly, the calls change based on more motion and formation, and he doesn't pick it up. And then there's a hole, and that's a problem. That one in cut over the middle. He was in position. It was pretty good coverage, but at the last second, he just didn't have enough in the tank to make the play. And with Quay Walker, at some point it's got to click. You saw him, and you probably, if you were watching, you saw that they were blitzing him more, and that was in an effort, in my opinion, to get him moving up closer to the line of scrimmage. And you know what? Zebras don't change their stripes, man. I mean, if he's not going to be aggressive in the middle, I don't know how much longer they can play him there.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question: is how much longer do you keep him in the Mike linebacker? Because I don't think you can.
I agree with you. And you watch like Eric Wilson when they put him, he's back at Sandbacker, and he played the last couple of weeks in the middle and in space. He was really good, but he all out of space. I mean, you saw on one play where he's in the hole and it just froze. And that's some guys are just not good in space, and I don't think he's really all that great in space. In confined areas in the middle, fine. Perfect. Really, he's everything you want out of Mike Backer. But as a Sam, when you're gonna make tackle sometimes in a C gap, it's a pretty big hole, and you got to be able to sit down there and make that tackle and it didn't go away. I think the loss of Williams would have, if he was playing him, I think it might have looked a little bit different, but by and large, it wasn't terrible. 17 points. I keep going back to that, but that's a huge victory. Anybody in the NFL, most teams are going to score 20 and a half to 21 points in the game, even the worst of the worst. So if you're keeping your team under the average scoring, you're doing okay, and you're doing better. Yeah, it would have been better if they would have got out of a couple of them, sure. But I mean, against the Lions that have such a good offensive line and are able to run the football like they have all season long, and they got two backs that you can hand the ball off and feel really good about. I thought that was a good performance. Not great, but pretty good.
I said at the beginning of the show, for people to go, they're just an average team at best. I said, no. They're a good football team, and they've got talent. It's the own self-inflicted mistakes that cost them from being great. Had they not kind of made some of the stupid penalties and obviously the pick six, that might have been a different game. And they may have beaten and they may have beaten the best team in the league. Well, I think the Lions are probably top one or two, maybe three in all of football. They may have beaten them. And it's not like the Lions just trounced the Packers. It was more self-inflicted, which drives you nuts more than anything. Had you gotten your ass kicked, that's a whole other story. But they didn't. They just had some stupid plays, and which they always say you can't fix stupid, but you got to be able to fix stupid in some way.
Well, and it's concentration. I get it. It's raining. It's wet. It's 40 degrees. It's not exactly a walk in the park out there, but the teams that are mentally strong, that are good football teams, they're going to play through it. And the Lions were mentally strong and played through it. There's so many drops that you looked at during the game. Tucker Kraft, Romeo Dobbs. There were a lot of drops, and those were things that keep drives alive. All of a sudden, now you're going to run your punt team out there. That's the difference. It's the little things. The little things are what win games in the NFL, not the big things. The little things are what count. Dropping passes, jumping off sides, for God's sakes. A wide receiver jumping off sides, your running back getting a false start. Come on. I mean, that's stuff that can't happen at week 9 in the season. Those things have got to get cleaned up, and it's all about mentalness. And, one of the things, and you know this as well as anybody, sometimes a good loss is the best thing that you need. They have a couple of good wins here. They're on a roll, and young guys start thinking a lot about themselves, and all of a sudden, boom, you get punched in the mouth because you screwed up. You didn't get your hands up, and you got punched in the mouth. So now, here's the telltale sign. They got a week to think about it. Stew on it. Yeah. How is this going to happen? And I think this could be a really good loss. They needed it to get back on track and get understanding of where they are, not where they think they are.
The analytics show now that they've got maybe a 10% chance of actually winning the division. However, it still shows that they've got a better than 50-50 chance of getting to the postseason. So it wasn't a loss that's going to knock you out of the postseason. It just, when you're sitting 2.5 games now behind the leader because they've got the tiebreaker over you, and that forces you now to go into Detroit and get a win. That's going to be a tough road to hoe, and especially after what you did to Detroit at home last year,
Yeah, and I think they can do it. they got to get back to and a healthy quarterback probably will help. I don't, let's not take that out of the equation. And they got to get right. They got a week to stew on it and get back to work for the Bears, which, those guys certainly find a way to shoot themselves in the foot too. So it could be a great opportunity to go out there and just run the Bears off the field, and then now start getting ready to play and turn it up, get ready for the long stretch where we're in November now. Now it's time. It's go time now. I mean, you could, if let's say they finish with 5 losses, that's a pretty good season. They may not be good enough to win the division, but it's good enough to get into the playoffs. Yeah. And that's what they got to focus on right now, because they got to just one at a time. You got the Bears, you got to beat them. Okay, who's next? Beat them. And with that attitude, and if they learn from this, I can't find a word that I can say on the air about how this game was. You know what I mean? If they can learn from this crap, I guess it'd be then they'll go. But if it continues, then you guys start questioning about the mental makeup of your football team.
Eric, always good stuff, buddy. We can always find you over there at the Green Bay Press Gazette, breaking down film and such with Pete Doherty, and then we will talk again next week, okay?
I hope you have a great week, and, I think it's going to be good. The Bears don't look very, very sharp right now, so it could be a pretty good game coming up. But anyways, have a great week, and thanks a lot for having me on. Appreciate it.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon. There you go, Eric Baranchek of the Green Bay Press Gazette, joining us for a couple of minutes. A lot of things that he said was right. I don't disagree with. It all depends on how you take this loss, and maybe this is the opportunity with 2 weeks to prepare that Matt LaFleur says, okay, the attention to detail now it's more than ever. And now it's going to, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you crack down on it. I don't have that answer. I'd be fool to think so, but maybe now you see that explicit intent to the attention to detail. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Andrews Chevrolet. For the all-new Chevy Trax, they've got the redesigned Silverados. They've got the new EV Blazers. They've got certified vehicles. They still have some 2024s on the lots. The 2025s are coming in. And they are a huge supporter of Big Unit Foundation. Please check out our friends at Andrews Chevrolet. If you're looking for a new vehicle, whether it's for the holidays or going into the new year, AndrewChevrolet.com. Now's the time to buy, too, because they got a lot of great deals on a lot that they want to move before the end of the year. AndrewChevrolet.com. That is AndrewChevrolet.com. Call our buddy Stu over there, 414-973-9867. 414-973-9867. Again, 414-973-9867.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. Bill Michaels Show on this this kind of drizzly kind of Monday, giving you the Green and Gold Monday view, wearing the glasses. We got 2 more hours yet to go. Don't forget, final hour of the program today. Mike Clemens in studio with us, and we'll go from talking about the thing outside to talking about the stuff inside the locker room. So we'll go inside the locker room with Mike Clemens. And by the way, Chris says there's a lot of new names over there in the cheap seats today. Love it. Love it. I do too. It is growing. Love to see everybody on the cheap seats and subscribing over on YouTube. It's absolutely free. We wouldn't charge you for this crap. Come on, man. Right? So, we got more of the Bill Michaels Show next. Don't go anywhere.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers are regrouping after a sloppy effort yesterday against the Lions in a 24-14 loss. It was a tough day for quarterback Jordan Love, who threw his second pick six of the season and his 10th interception overall after throwing just 11 all of last season. All those interceptions have been a constant question for Coach Matt LaFleur, and it's clear it's one he's getting tired of answering.
You guys are going to I know, I understand. Like, it's really annoying up here, though. Like, you know, we're obviously, he's fighting, he's competing, and we know that we've got to take care of the football. But I don't question anything about what he's trying to do. We just got to do it better.
Love played through a groin injury, still wearing a brace on the knee injury from earlier this year. He'll get some time to rest both as the Packers are now on their bye. They hit the bye at 6-3, return a week from Sunday with a trip to face the Bears in Chicago. Turn to Wisconsin. They're also on their bye week. Plenty of work to do for them after getting hammered down in Iowa City 42-10 on Saturday night. It was the most points they've allowed Iowa to score in close to 50 years. Things don't get any easier after the bye week as number 1 Oregon comes to Madison.
Actor portrayal.
When I joined Better Life, I thought it was just about life insurance, but it's so much more. Better Life connects me with others in my community through social groups, events, and wellness programs. Insurance helps give me peace of mind, but the member benefits, they give me a real sense of belonging.
Better Life Insurance, where better means belonging. Call 888-488-4136. Insurance issued by Better Life Insurance Company. Terms and conditions apply. Member benefits are subject to change. Contact a licensed agent for details.
Well, the Bucs will look to snap a 5-game losing streak tonight when they take on unbeaten Cleveland on the road. Cavs beat them over the weekend, and the Badgers can open their season tonight against Holy Cross at the Kohl Center. Tip is at 7. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, Print.
Welcome. Good to have you. Bill Michaels Show. On a Green and Gold Monday, we are hanging out with you. Thanks to everybody finding us over in the live stream. Thanks to all of you for hanging out. Yeah. Thank you. I wish we were here on a cheery moment. I wish we were here all celebrating a win over what is considered to be one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFC. I wish we were sitting here today going, man, what a flawless game and the elements that the Packers play. But unfortunately, we're talking about the game that was flawless was played by the Detroit Lions more so than anything. The Packers had opportunities and basically self-inflicted wounds cost them a win. Now, that being said, Complicated Fella says, poor Matt LaFleur. He seems annoyed with the questions about Love's silly mistakes. Matt, I far am past annoyed. Be better. So I figure on that particular note, I think what we'll do is we're going to let you, if you have not heard it already, yesterday's presser, Matt LaFleur talking to the media and fielding a question after question after question about his quarterback and some of the bad decisions that he's made. Here he is.
Much cleaner than we did. I was disappointed with the number of penalties and just self-inflicted wounds that we had, and you can't do that against a really good football team. I think when you look at the sequence in terms of them kicking 3 points right before the 2-minute drive, then we have a pick six, and then they come out the second half and score a touchdown. I mean, that's a lot to overcome right there, and obviously we didn't do a good enough job to be able to overcome that.
What do you, in the grand scheme of things, Matt, what do you make out of the game? Like, do you feel like you just lost the game? You made too many mistakes? Do you feel like you got some catching up to do with Detroit, or is it just?
I think Detroit's a really good football team. I absolutely do. And when you're playing a good football team, you can't have those types of mistakes. I don't know what their number of penalties were, but we just had, you look at right off the jump, we get a personal foul or whatever, what they called on Keyshawn, the 15-yarder, which is totally unacceptable. And then we had multiple. They have their first drive. It's 4th and goal on the 5-yard line. We jump off sides, and it gives them an opportunity. They go for it. They get a touchdown there. And then when we were driving or getting into scoring position, it seemed like we had false starts. We had snaps. The ball was on the ground. Just way too many mistakes. And you cannot do that against a good football team because they're going to make you pay. And credit to them, they played a clean game.
How did you assess the pick six?
I got to go look at it. I think he was trying to make a play. He was under duress there. I think he saw Josh. Obviously, Joseph picked it off. He's one of the best safeties in the league. I think both those safeties are really good players. They got tremendous ball skills. I mean, they got 10 picks between the two of them now. So I think you can't do that against those guys, and Joseph made a great play, and that was a big time play in the game.
Jordan often makes the really exquisite plays, but with that play later in the game, he held it instead of throwing it away, and it was an on the way. And his discernment on when to throw it away, something to look at.
Everybody's different. I love how he competes, and obviously he wasn't at full strength, and for him to go out there and be able to battle through, I thought that was big of him. It's unfortunate, but certainly you can't put yourself in a situation where it becomes a game where you're throwing it almost every down. I don't think that's going to be winning football, especially in these types of elements. And we dug ourselves in far too deep of a hole, and then we have an opportunity there, and we don't convert in the red area. That's been a problem. Obviously, 1 of 4 is not good enough. So we got to take a hard look at that over the course of the next week, and figure out what we got to do to be better. Because obviously, when we have opportunities, we're not making the plays. So we've got to really look and see what we're asking our guys to do, and just got to do a better job.
How do you teach when it is time to avoid the play, throw the ball away, and when it's time to actually try to make something out of it when he's getting flushed like that?
Yeah, I think that's a fine line. It's a hard thing to really. You always teach in the rhythm of the play. When it goes off schedule, you just got to be smart. You got to be smart with football in a 1-possession game, and I know he's doing everything in his power to make a play. But sometimes, again, I got to go back and look at it before I can give you a good answer on that.
Big picture, though, he was so smart with the football for the second half of last season. He threw 1 pick in the last 8 games. He's now got 10 already this season. What do you think? What are the reasons why that would be the case?
Well, every pick's going to be a little bit different. So, is it something that I am, or I feel like we can get better. We can learn from it, and I think we will be better moving forward.
Do you guys try and coach catching passes in these conditions a certain way? Why do you think that was such an issue today?
No, you coach the same fundamentals of attacking the football, aggressive hands. It is harder when it's raining out. It is. It's just, but you got to really focus in on just the concentration of it, tucking it all the way in. And obviously we didn't do that.
At the false starts, is that lack of focus too?
Yeah, I think that you can definitely lump those in the focus category where we got to be better, because some of those just are totally unnecessary. We're going on a double cadence, and I never want us, that's an advantage for an offense. I never want us not to do that. I think that's an important part of it. That is your one advantage on offense, is that you control when the ball is snapped. And that's a great advantage when you're at home, when there's not as much crowd noise. And we just got to dial in and be better focused.
You mentioned going 1 for 4 in the red zone. Why do you think your team has been struggling to finish drives consistently throughout the season so far?
Well, I think a lot of it stems back to the penalties. So I would think that's a big part of it. And then we had back-to-back possession or back-to-back snaps where the ball's on the ground. So that's another one.
Look at those snaps. Is that Elton?
I haven't seen it. My eyes aren't focused on the snap. My eyes are focused on the defense. Then you look back, you hear, the crowd or whatever, and you look back and the ball's on the ground. So I don't know what happened.
Now, what did you think of the opportunity you guys kind of squandered, where Branch gets the 15-yard penalty, ejected, gets another 15-yard penalty? What did you think of that situation?
Yeah, we didn't capitalize on it.
Is it a delicate balance with a young quarterback that's capable of making all the plays that Jordan is to coach him in a way that he still has that?
You guys are going to make I understand. It's really annoying up here though. We're obviously, he's fighting, he's competing. And we know that we've got to take care of the football, but I don't question anything about what he's trying to do. We just got to do it better.
2 more, please.
Matt, kind of what went through did you know pretty much by Friday that Jordan was going to be able to go, or how did you arrive at the decision?
I mean, we had a good indication that he was able to practice. That was the first day that he really had 1 day of practice. I know he was limited, but limited can mean a lot of different things, right? On Thursday, all he did was individual. So, but the fact that he could go out there on Friday, the only time I thought he really looked hobbled was right at the end of the half. So I went up to him as we were going into that tunnel and just said, just asked him if he was all right, if he could continue to go. And, he's a competitor and he's gonna, and I talked to our medical staff and asked them if they had any reservations or concerns. And they were comfortable with it. So we let him go.
Like early third quarter, Malik was throwing some passes on the sideline. Was there ever a question of whether or not Jordan with the groin would be able to get through the game?
No, I was unaware of that. And I'm sure Malik's just trying to stay ready, stay warm in case, you have to go in a moment's notice what happened in Jacksonville. And obviously it was a little colder game. And so you want to stay loose and you want to stay warm.
Big picture, you're going to see these guys again. You got a hell of a lot more football games after the bye. Obviously you want to win a game like this, especially at home, but in the big grand scheme of things, how do you view this?
It's disappointing when you have a big game like this against one of the best teams in the league and you don't feel like there was just too many mistakes that you can't overcome those against a good football team. And that's exactly what Detroit is. And like I said, they just played a clean game. They really didn't put the ball in jeopardy. I thought Jared was really efficient. I mean, 18 to 22, that's a pretty good day's work. They grinded out. I thought Montgomery was running hard. Gibbs had some really good runs. That's a good offensive line. And I think defensively, they do some things that gives you a little bit of problems. And I thought they did a good job just playing, keeping us a little bit off balance. Was probably anticipating a little bit more man coverage. And they were just jumping in and out of it. And so they did a good job of keeping us a little bit off balance, I would say, offensively. And, it's a good football team.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
There you go. That's Matt LaFleur talking to the media after the game. And like I said, there are a lot of explanations regarding the problems that they had. But he was not going to go into detail as to what he was going to give you. He just wasn't. What really caught my ear, and I'm sure, and I saw that it did over on the live stream, many of you as well, but when he talked specifically about the dumb pass, the pick six, he said, look, he's fighting, he's competing, on and on. Then he says, I don't question what he's trying to do, but he needs to do it better. And on one hand, I can agree and say he does need to do it better, but I do question what he's trying to do. You want a guy to fight. You want a guy to compete. You want a guy to be tenacious in the deniability of going down, because football is a deniability sport. I will not be hurt. I will not be denied. I will run through you to get where I need to go, because that's what you need to do. I'll be bigger, stronger, faster. But there does come accountability for sensibility. He needs to be smarter. So when he says, I don't question what he's trying to do, I do. I think that you need to question in those particular circumstances that we've seen now. It's not a one-time occurrence. We've seen this happen time and again, where you just throw it up and you cannot give free points to your opponent. You just can't. So in that particular sentence, we'll agree to disagree. Because if this keeps happening, then at some point you do have to question and say, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Why are you obstinate in forcing the football to an area that really isn't going to garner you much, and yet you've turned it into points for the other team? You have to be better than that. You have to. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. We're going to hear from more, so don't go anywhere. We got all kinds of people on hold. I promise you. We're going to get back to the phone calls coming up here momentarily. Don't go anywhere. More of the Bill Michaels Show, brought to you by our friends at Warner Electric Supply. And whether it's innovations, industrial, manufacturing, residential, they have got a lot of solutions to a lot of your questions, to a lot of you builders, to a lot of you contractors. They also have the parts and supplies necessary to accomplish your point A to point B goals. That is Warner Electric Supply. Warner Electric, right here in the state of Wisconsin. WarnerElectric.com, WERNER, WarnerElectric.com, or go to 866-4-WARNER. Call them up, 866-4, the number 4, Warner, WERNER, 866-4-WARNER. They can help you out and solve a lot of your industrial, manufacturing, and residential solutions.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The kick is up and wide left.
Why don't they customize the goalposts?
Gina Della from Pella, how'd you get into the booth?
No, listen. If they made our goalposts just a little wider, and why just yellow? It's Green Bay. Add some green stripes.
Sure, Gina. Should they also remove the G at midfield and paint a Pella crest?
Okay, Wayne, I get it. You can't customize a football game to go the way you want, but Pella can customize your home the way you want. From durable materials and folding fold-away hardware to custom colors and ease of maintenance, backed by quality craftsmanship, energy efficiency, and warranties that will last for years.
And this has got to be the Pella Dagger. Right now, get 0% interest for up to 60 months at PellaWI.com. Okay, now I've got popcorn and soda.
Right here.
$22.50, please.
Too bad we can't customize concession prices.
That's it. You got this, partner? I'm out of here. Hold your appointment on or before November 8th. Certain restrictions apply.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
I don't necessarily consider this show controversial in any way. I just don't. More so than anything, if you consider it controversial, I consider it being maybe honest, maybe at times too honest. And I'll tell you what I'm talking about coming up here momentarily. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Buzzard Billy's on Pearl Street, La Crosse, Wisconsin. Terrific stick-to-your-ribs food out there. They got great comfort food for this time of year and all throughout the winter. And then come summertime, they change up the menu. They make it a little Cajun-y, a little spicy, a little beveragey, which is fantastic. Speaking of beverages, upstairs, the Starlight Lounge, right there in that 1860s brick hotel. You got Buzzard Billy's downstairs with the Billy Bucks. Then upstairs, you got the Starlight Lounge. It is a fully enclosed, great date night out. That is our friends at Buzzard Billy's in the Starlight Lounge. Check them out, 608-796-2277. But more so, just stop in on Pearl Street in La Crosse, Wisconsin. That's Buzzard Billy's and the Starlight Lounge right there. All right. Real quick, I'm going to get to the phone calls coming up here in 1 second. I want to get to this. This is an email. Just came across. Jake and Shano. Unit, why are you so controversial every damn day? Why do you feel it necessary to rag on the Packers? My God, they didn't get blown out. How can you call them above average? They're a great football team. Lighten up. That's Jake and Shano. Okay. First of all, I didn't know we were controversial. I thought we were probably more honest than anything. And if you want to call, and you're mistaking honesty and passion for controversy, well, that's fine. Okay, I guess. Call it what you want. But ragging on the Packers, my God, they didn't get blown out. No, Jake, okay, I'm going to be calm here for a minute because I want you to understand this. I never said they got blown out. They got destroyed. As a matter of fact, I went on to say they didn't get blown out. They didn't get destroyed. Grant has reiterated that they were in the ball game. They didn't get blown out by a team that was averaging over 40 points a game coming in for the last couple of contests that they faced off against people. All right? They didn't get blown out. They didn't get slaughtered. The problem is they had opportunities to win the game, and the Packers screwed it up. The team that was more disciplined won. That's the Lions. I said the Packers are an above-average football team. They're not great. Great teams do not make the same dumb mistakes over and over and over and over and over again. They just don't. That's why the Lions are 7-1 and the Packers are 6-3. That's why they are where they are right now. And that's the reason they're 2.5 games behind in the standings. So, if you're I don't know what your definition of great is. Great is reserved for very few teams. There's no team right now in the National Football League that I would say is a great team because we've all seen the flaws. The only team really that undefeated is Kansas City, and they're coming off of back-to-back Super Bowls. So if they win it again this year, would I consider them to be a great team? Yeah, because even with the flaws, they're winning. But I think the Lions right now are the best team in the NFL. And if those two teams played in Kansas City or in Detroit, I think the Lions win. I just do. I think that the Baltimore Ravens are maybe a close second or right there at 1A and 1B because when they utilize Derrick Henry, they're an all-around team. They got a good defense, really good quarterback, good weapons, good run game. They got a lot of opportunity here ahead of them. Can they get over the hump this season? But I will never lighten up when it comes to criticism. Warranted criticism. So I don't know what your definition of great is, Jake, but I think whatever's going on up there, somebody in Shawano should do a wellness check to see if you've got some good ganja down there in the basement. Just throwing it out there.
Say nice things about my team, Bill.
I know, right?
Don't be mean to my team.
That's kind of what it is.
Look, I think this is a good word. I think the Packers are really talented. They're really, really talented. But if you constantly make dumb mistakes and you can't execute, then that's what you are. You're a really talented team. You're not a great team. I think this team can be great. And I messaged you, and maybe we'll talk about this. I actually think it might be a good thing that they had a game like that going into the bye because now they have to stew on it. And they really have to look in the mirror and say, we got to grow up a little bit. Could be a good thing. But right now, they're a really talented team that has shown flashes of being really, really good. Right. But they get in their own way, and good teams don't get in their own way. Right. Great teams certainly don't.
Great teams do not make – great teams will have a mistake, but two things about great teams. One is they overcome their own mistakes, and two is they don't make the same mistakes twice. And they certainly don't repeat it over and over and over and over and over again. And at times, the Packers have won in spite of themselves. They've only played one complete game. Think about it. They've only played – the Arizona game was the only game in which they played fully complementary football. That's it. That's it. Other than that, they haven't done it consistently all season long. They've started off slow, then they pick it up in the second half. They make whatever adjustments you want to call them making. They've played better. Defenses have played better, all that kind of stuff. And again, even like yesterday, the Packers defensively didn't play bad. Like I said, it wasn't like they got blown out. Because they didn't. The Packers, again, in the second half of this ball game, after giving up 17 points in the second quarter, 6 of them being the pick six, or 7 of them being the pick six. So they gave up 10 in the first quarter. They only gave up 7 in the second half. Defensively, they didn't play bad. For as much as finger pointing as we won for guys that seem to be, on a milk carton, they didn't play bad. But when you commit the same dumbass penalties, the same pre-snap penalties, the only excuse that I can make is Elton Jenkins, he's not your everyday center. And he had to play everyday center yesterday. And then to add insult to injury in that sense, it was shotgun. 95% of the day was in shotgun, which is even more difficult. So to that argument, I can say, okay, I could see maybe some packages from Malik Willis in that sense. But for the most part, no. It was just dumb mistakes. Matt LaFleur alluded to it. At some point, you get tired of that's a really good football team over there, and you got to give them a lot of credit. No, I don't want to give them any credit. You had them beat. You beat them in a lot of... No. Let's talk about your team and all the mistakes you made. Let's talk about why the same mistakes are recurring over and over and over again. That's not railing on the Packers. That's pointing out the obvious. And when they want you to go, hey, by the way, even though the building's on fire over here, look over here because the landscape is beautiful. Man, the landscape, look at that. We've got a terraced front. We got some nice bushes. We just planted petunias, for God's sakes. And they're all different colors. Look at how beautiful they blend right into the landscape. In the meantime, the building's burning down. That's what the Packers want you to look at. But we're going, Matt, the same things happen every week. Why? It's concentration. It's discipline. At what point do you pull somebody out and go, look, if you can't play the game of football any more smart than you are, then you're too stupid to play the game of football. Maybe that's the accountability we're looking for, not to hear about how great the Detroit Lions are. So just my take on it. All right, let's do this. Let's get back to the phone calls. Doug, listening to us in Luxembourg. Doug, how you doing, man? What's going on?
Doing good. Bill, you just stated it, the obvious, and we're all missing the obvious. Granted, there was enough blame to go around on everybody on the team yesterday, why the team lost, drops, penalties, all that stuff. But the obvious reason why Jordan Love is throwing these interceptions is because he's injured. Last year, he wasn't injured. This year, he is. Ultimately, it affects the timing. It affects the execution of the play, and ultimately it affects decision-making when you're injured. And he's going to be dealing with this the whole season. And that's the main reason why we're having all these picks. It's obvious to me. That's the reason why.
There's two.
He's not capable of executing the plays.
There's two things, Doug, and appreciate the phone call. There's two things here. One is I can understand where you say it's the injuries, that it does affect the execution. That, to me, is when he does not plant, he doesn't have a good base, he has a high throw, some of the incompletions that we've seen. That I'll agree with you on. The difference is the decision-making on some of these things, where I think Jordan Love is trying to do too much, because there is a level of expectation, self-imposed expectation, even to a certain extent, when you get paid a lot of money and you come in having a tremendous second half of the season and everybody expects you to pick up where you left off. But a groin injury or a knee injury, as you're falling to the ground, ready to take a sack, when you, instead of giving up the sack and knowing you have to come back and live to fight another day, toss it into the air to where it's scooped up by the opponent and taken back for a pick six. You can't have that. The high throws, some of the off-target throws, okay, I'll go with you on. You and I can meet in the middle on that one. We'll high five there. But some of the other ones, the stupidity, locking on a target, no, you're taught not to do that. And he didn't do that last year. Where your eyes go have nothing to do with your groin or your knee. Your eyes on a target, you're looking coverage over here when you know you're going over here. You have to glance that direction. But when you lock on a guy all the way across the field and we can see you doing it up in the press box and you're winding up and getting ready to throw to a certain spot, in the meantime, you never looked off the safety who's now crashing hard. that's your fault. That has nothing to do with a knee or a groin. So that's just it's kind of football 101 for a quarterback.
And by the way, with the injury, maybe the injury's hampering him. It just didn't look like it to me. Like, that's not how I saw the game. I did not see it as Doug saw it yesterday. Doug could be right. I don't know. We'll probably never know because the Packers don't tell us. I mean, Matt LaFleur's told us precisely zero about his injuries this year. But he was never the most accurate guy in college. Like, I don't know that he's always going to be the guy that puts the ball right at the chest. Sometimes it's a little behind or higher, lower. He's never been the most accurate guy. And he threw a lot of picks in college, too. So even when he's healthy, and even when he's hot and playing well, he's still a guy that has his accuracy come and go and is bound to make a bad decision. That's not related to his injury. That's just kind of the quarterback he is.
Yeah. Real quick, let's get to Adam listening to us down in Houston. Adam, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Hey, Bill. How are you doing today?
Good. What's up?
Hey, so we have a Lambeau Field problem. Since about late 2022, we're 1-5 against division teams at Lambeau Field. I don't know if you remember how it started, but we lost the win to go to the playoffs game against the Lions.
Yep.
And then last year we got dominated by the Lions, lost by 14. We got dominated by the Vikings, lost by 14. We squeaked by the Bears, scored 17. And then this year we were down 28-0 to the Vikings, and then in the Lions we were down 24-3. All at home. It's inexplicable, and I don't know. I think you referenced before, it has to do with something to do with focus. But we don't seem to have any kind of a home field advantage anymore. We seem to play better on the road. I think we are just lackadaisical at home. And then besides the division teams, we've also had the playoff heartbreak where the warm weather dome team comes in and ends our season.
Right.
They don't ever have a problem playing at Lambeau. Like, we have a problem playing at Lambeau, they don't. So I don't know what the fix is, but for right now, I have no problem not playing at home in the playoffs if we make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Until we get this fixed. Do you have any ideas what could turn this around?
No, you know what? That's a great point. Let's do this. We'll talk a little bit about it when we come back after the bottom of the hour break. We're also going to hear from Jordan Love, but I think part of it was last year you had games that Jordan Love was kind of feeling himself out and they were trying to get this thing together. And then the second half of the season, they got it together. And it just so happened to be where they were traveling on the road to some of those teams. I think that Dan Campbell came in a couple of years ago and put it on the Packers when they had nothing to play for, and the Packers did. I thought the Packers, to me, just looked like they thought they were going to win that game. And that might have been, and I hate to say this because people hate me when I say it, but I think that was partly the Aaron Rodgers effect. He wanted to do things his way. And that was the beginning of the end for that group of players. And I think everybody saw that coming.
The death of the Lambeau Field mystique, at least late in the year with the cold weather in the playoffs, you could go back a lot further than 2022. Like, you could go back. Yeah.
Go back to when Michael Vick came in and beat him for the first time that this team had ever been beat at home in 34 degrees or less. I was there for that game. You can go back to that. But I don't think, it doesn't matter the climate either. We've seen this team lose in warm weather. We've seen this team lose in cold weather. So they got beat on a picture-perfect day against the Vikings because they started off slow. And again, the circumstance was Jordan Love was just coming back from injury, and it took him a while to get going. In the second half of the game, they did get going, but they didn't put it together early on. And, look, you can make whatever excuse you want, but I think a lot of it is legit because each one has to stand alone. But I agree. Lambeau Field has not been the dominant fortress when it comes to the division that the Packers would like. So I believe that. But you go back to when Michael Vick came into Lambeau Field, God, that was early 2000s. That was way back. But from that point on, I think that bit of mystique kind of deflated that building a little bit, and it's just lingered ever since. Suddenly the emperor had no clothes anymore when it comes to that. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Hey, always a great week at Smoke on the Water out there in Okauchee Lake. They have got food specials all week long. Smoke on the Water, always doing something great out there, whether it's the food, whether it's some of the entertainment they have downstairs in the below deck. They've always got something great going on. They've got comedy nights like tonight. Tonight is wing night. They 8 jumbo wings for $10.99. That's $4 off. Tomorrow night, steak night. Sizzling chicken fajita night with half-off margaritas coming up on Wednesday. Smoked ribs on Thursday. Fish fry on Friday. Smoked prime rib on Saturday. They've always got something good going on out there at Smoke on the Water in Okauchee. Don't forget, though, there's Sloppy Joe's, a good old-fashioned Wisconsin bar. Sloppy Joe's Saloon and Spoon on Hubertus in Hubertus. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. It's a Green and Gold Monday, the Bill Michaels Show. And before we go any further, I want you to take a listen. Jordan Love, after the game yesterday, talking to the media. Take a listen to the Jordan Love kind of explaining the pick six, and the decision-making and some of the problems that they had.
What'd you see on the pick?
Yeah, on the interception, was moving out of the pocket. Obviously, Josh was blocking and protection, and I saw him trying to get out and was trying to dump it down as a check down to him. And, the ball did not go where I wanted it to. And, they made a good play on it.
Kirby, it looked like the safety, he was like kind of behind a lineman. Did you see him when he threw?
No, I didn't see him when I threw it. Like I said, I just saw Josh kind of trying to get out of there. And like I said, the ball didn't go where I wanted it to. And, critical error.
Does that mean like you just missed the throw or it came out of your hand poorly, or when you say didn't go?
Yeah, I got to see it, but obviously it did not go where I wanted it to.
Where do you think the conditions between the drops and the fumbled snaps gave you guys so much trouble today?
Yeah, there's a lot of things we got to clean up, like you said. I mean, the fumbled snaps, it comes down to the ball being wet, rainy, and we got to do a better job with the exchange between me and Elton. And, that happened one too many times for sure. And then, the drops, comes down to just making plays when the conditions aren't the way, perfect. So obviously it was wet and too many drops.
But I don't think they had any problems catching it or throwing it or some of those things. And they're an indoor team. I don't think they'll play an outdoor game all year. How do you guys get playing to the level that this team should be playing at in the elements here?
Yeah, it just comes down to making plays.
The groin limit you at all, or did you feel like you could move and throw and everything how you wanted to?
No, I felt fine.
Did it bother you at any point during the course of the game, though?
No, I was fine.
How do you feel now?
Feel good.
How important will this week be for you to get healthy? I'm not sure if the knee's a problem anymore, but between the knee and the groin to get back to being you.
Yeah, obviously, I think the bye week will be huge for a lot of guys on our team to be able to take a week, recover, and try and get as healthy as possible coming back for after the bye.
Jordan, the disappointment against the division leader on your home field that's 0-2 against Minnesota and Detroit, that significance going into the bye week, how does that feel?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely very disappointing. Those are two games that, we did not play our best at all. So, too many mistakes. And like I said, just didn't play our best when in these games that we need to be able to go out there and execute at a high level and play our best ball. So it's definitely very disappointing. But two teams that we'll see again this season.
Everyone sees the interceptions in the box score. Last year, you were able to do such a great job at the end of the year taking care of the football. And then this year, obviously, there's been those interceptions. How do you evaluate your decision-making so far? Has it been different, or do you feel like it's the same as it was at the end of last year?
No, it's it's definitely disappointing. Putting the ball in jeopardy way too many times, and definitely something I have to clean up. And I've talked about it week after week. So somewhere I just got to learn from these mistakes and clean it up. But definitely something that I'm gonna make a big focus on going forward of just finding ways to take care of the ball better.
How did you get back to that? Because for 2 months last year, you were so good at just not throwing picks. What's been the difference? How do you get back to where you were?
Yeah, it just comes down to staying true with my reads. And, if plays do go off schedule, just that fine line of being smart with the ball and not putting it in harm's way and trying to, balance trying to make a play versus just throwing it away and living to fight another day. So, I think, it just comes down to staying true with my reads, like I said, making great decisions and, just doing a better job of just being stingy with the ball.
Difficult to do when you got a big arm, you can make big plays. We've seen it all season, right? When you want to make the big play, is it difficult to keep in mind, okay, just live, it's not there, live for the next play when you can make a big play?
No, it just comes down to, playing the position at a high level, sticking to my training, sticking to the reads, like I said, and just being great with those fundamentals. And obviously the big plays will happen, not trying to force things. But like I said, just getting back to staying true with my reads and being real disciplined and making great decisions with the ball.
Matt was saying that, the cadences and all that should be an advantage for you, but there are way too many false starts. How do you get that back to being an advantage for you guys?
Yeah, it's something that we got to clean up, and it just comes down to staying disciplined in the game. Hearing the cadence in the huddle and just getting off on time and just being locked in and not just having those lapses in focus where we have those penalties. So it's definitely another area that has been hurting us on offense that we got to clean up.
The 3rd and 1 pass to Wicks in the fourth quarter, was that thrown behind him or did you expect him to sit down on that one?
What play was that? Sorry.
One at the
one in the end zone?
Yes.
It was definitely a little bit behind him. But I think that's a play that he can make, and I think he knows he can make it. And obviously, I can do a better job getting the ball out in front of him, putting right on him.
During the attitude into the bye week, both personally and for the team at 6-3, knowing when you come back, you have the full run in.
Yeah, the attitude is just, come back, get into the film room tomorrow. Same mindset as every week is, look at the tape, figure out what we did good, figure out what we did bad, find out the stuff we got to clean up and just keep attacking every week once we get back from the bye week. But, like I said, obviously a disappointing game, been a couple of disappointing losses, but we are still a really good football team. And, I think some of the stuff is more self-inflicted, the mistakes and the penalties and the turnovers, all stuff that we can clean up. So, like I said before, we haven't played our best game. So, a lot of football left in front of us when we come back from the bye week. So, just hit the ground running when we get back.
The last play, the first half, were you just trying to draw a penalty on the deep one to Reed?
Yeah, no. When I rolled out, it looked like, Reed had a step on the guy and was trying to put the ball out there for him. And who knows, maybe he can break the tackle, get out of bounds. But just try to throw it up there for him to make a play. And obviously in that situation, it's an ozone situation. We want to get out of bounds. And weren't able to do that right there.
There you go. That's Jordan Love after the ball game and some of the things that he discussed. But again, the throw, going back to that, you just can't make it. I know there were some things in there that were said, and people are like, "Oh my God," Jordan Love takes accountability, and I appreciate that. He understands the task at hand. There are just times where I think and maybe this comes with experience, but when you walk to the line of scrimmage, not only do you need to know the blocking and the routes and the hot read, and you have to be able to see the defense, you also have to understand the down and distance situation and that there's an ability to live to fight another day. So I can appreciate that, but you can't say I need to do better. I need to learn from this. I need to, and then not learn from it. That's the biggest argument in all of this. So we'll see. Now you got 2 weeks to kind of stew over it and see what happens when you go to Chicago. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at Sobelman's. Sobelman's Pub and Grill, 25 plus years in Milwaukee on St. Paul Avenue. Also now in Walker, in case you did not know. They are in Waukesha on William Street as well. And you should catch up. You should meet. Get one of those big, giant Bloody Marys. Get yourself one of those fantastic Sobelman's burgers. Sobelman's!
Meet at Sobelman's.
Milwaukee and Waukesha.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Wisconsin families are getting crushed today. We're paying more for food, clothes, gas than ever. Our open border has allowed over 10 million illegal immigrants into our country the last 4 years, driving up the cost of healthcare and housing for every one of us. For too long, these career politicians have failed our country. I'm not anything like these people. I'm a business guy who lives in a world where actually solving problems matters. I'm Eric Hovde, candidate for the U.S. Senate, and I approve this message because it's time for change.
Paid for by Hovde for Wisconsin.
The kick is up and wide left.
Why don't they customize the goalposts?
Gina Della from Pella, how'd you get into the booth?
No, listen. If they made our goalposts just a little wider, and why just yellow? It's Green Bay. Add some green stripes.
Sure, Gina. Should they also remove the G at midfield and paint a Pella crest?
Okay, Wayne, I get it. You can't customize a football game to go the way you want, but Pella can customize your home the way you want. From durable materials and fold-away hardware to custom colors and ease of maintenance, backed by quality craftsmanship, energy efficiency, and warranties that will last for years.
And this has got to be the Pella Dagger.
Right now, get 0% interest for up to 60 months at PellaWI.com. Okay, now I've got popcorn and soda.
Right here.
$22.50, please.
Too bad we can't customize concession prices.
That's it. You got this, partner? I'm out of here.
Hold your appointment on or before November 8th. Certain restrictions apply.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. Coming up in the next hour, Mike Clemens going to be joining us. Going to get a chance to bring Mike in, get his perspective on yesterday and everything that he garnered in the locker room. Hey, I want to remind you, our friends down at the Nice Ash Cigar Bar, which is at 323 West Main Street, downtown Waukesha. Good weekend this weekend. They had some really good music down there. But a good crowd yesterday for the Packers game as well, especially as the days are now getting a little colder and the weather is a little more inclement. You want to go inside. So some of the people that were outside in the garages and such and firing up a stogie or maybe bringing friends over, now you got to go inside, and that's where they went yesterday. They had a good crowd down there. So whether it's for the bourbons and the whiskeys and the whiskey club, Monday nights they have poker downstairs, 13 different flavors of hookah. They have got, like I said, entertainment on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, big walk-in humidor. If you just want to go in for a great vibe, that is Nice Ash Cigar Bar downtown on Main Street in Waukesha. So always good. And I would venture a guess that I might stop in there at some point this week. Just saying, just throwing it out there. Coming up in the next hour, Mike Clemens is going to join us, and we're going to get his perspective on what we witnessed yesterday. It seems like we're a lot in agreement on this. And look, I know it's a Green and Gold Monday. We'll talk more tomorrow about the Badgers. We will talk a lot about the Bucks, or maybe a little bit about the Bucks, and a little bit about the Brewers. Devin Williams. They're not picking up the option for Devin Williams. Now he's still arbitration eligible for the Brewers, but did not pick up the option. And former agent has some things to say. Did you hear that yet, Grant?
Yeah, and it doesn't surprise me. I mean, the Brewers declined the option because they think they can take him to arbitration and save money, and they probably will. And by the way, on the Brewers, 2 gold gloves too, Sal Frelick and Bryce Terang, which was cool to see.
Blake Perkins did not get one. Didn't have enough time, I guess, but that guy by far is the best center fielder in baseball. So I'm going to give Blake Perkins our own gold glove because I thought he was fantastic defensively this year for the Brewers. We still got another hour yet to go on this Green and Gold Monday. Man, don't go anywhere. Stay right where you're at. We're not done. Mike Clemens coming up here in about 15 minutes. We'll be back right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers are regrouping after a sloppy effort yesterday against the Lions in a 24-14 loss. It was a tough day for quarterback Jordan Love, who threw his second pick six of the season and his 10th interception overall after throwing just 11 all of last season. All those interceptions have been a constant question for Coach Matt LaFleur, and it's clear it's one he's getting tired of answering.
You guys are going to I know, I understand. Like, it's really annoying up here, though. Like, you know, we're obviously, he's fighting, he's competing, and we know that we've got to take care of the football. But I don't question anything about what he's trying to do. We just got to do it better.
Love played through a groin injury, still wearing a brace on the knee injury from earlier this year. He'll get some time to rest both as the Packers are now on their bye. They hit the bye at 6-3, return a week from Sunday with a trip to face the Bears in Chicago. Turning to Wisconsin, they're also on their bye week. Plenty of work to do for them after getting hammered down in Iowa City 42-10 on Saturday night. It was the most points they've allowed Iowa to score in close to 50 years. Things don't get any easier after the bye week as number 1 Oregon comes to Madison.
Actor portrayal.
When I first looked into life insurance, I worried about the hassle. Then I found Better Life. Their simplified issue whole life coverage plans mean no medical exam. I found a plan that fit my budget, and now my final expenses are covered. Plus, I get Better Life member benefits at no extra cost. That's definitely better.
Better Life Insurance, where better means belonging. Call 888-488-4136. Insurance issued by Better Life Insurance Company. Terms and conditions apply. Member benefits are subject to change. Contact a licensed agent for details.
Well, the Bucs will look to snap a 5-game losing streak tonight when they take on unbeaten Cleveland on the road. Cavs beat them over the weekend, and the Badgers can open their season tonight against Holy Cross at the Kohl Center. Tip is at 7. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, Prid.
Welcome in. Good to have you. We got Monday Night Football tonight on the docket. Pretty good one, too. Always love it when you got a good Monday night game. You got the Chiefs hosting the Buccaneers. Buccaneers need this one. They're sitting at 4-4 after they've been reeling somewhat. The Chiefs, the only undefeated team in all of football, sitting at 7-0 on the season. 7-0. The Steelers and the 49ers are off this week. And then next week on bye, you've got to the Packers, obviously. The Browns at 2-7, the Raiders at 2-7, and the Seahawks at 4-5. So at least you don't have to have god-awful teams playing football next week. But you do have a matchup of a couple of 2-7 teams coming up this week. You got the Giants and the Panthers, both craptastic. But you've got Cincinnati and the Baltimore Ravens coming up on Thursday night, and that is a battle for the top spot in the AFC North. Cincinnati has won more than a few games here as of late, but their defense is still not good, and you wonder how Derrick Henry is going to run all over them. And this one, by the way, is in Baltimore. And Baltimore, for whatever reason, has had Cincinnati's number. Even though when Cincinnati ended up beating them in the postseason a couple of years ago, had they had Lamar Jackson, Cincinnati doesn't win that game. Cincinnati can beat Kansas City. They just can't beat the Baltimore Ravens consistently. So you've got some good games coming up, really good games, as a matter of fact. You're going to have the Broncos and the Chiefs coming up this weekend. You've got the 49ers and the Buccaneers coming up this weekend, the 6-2 Steelers and the 7-2 Commanders coming up this weekend, a battle for the top spot over there in the NFC East as the Eagles trying to keep pace with Washington. The Washington Commanders 7-2, the Eagles are 6-2, and the Eagles are going to be facing the Cowboys that are terrible. You got the 7-1 Lions taking on the 6-3 Texans. So you got some good games. Good games. And by the way, the Lions game is a Sunday night game with the Texans. So you got good games coming up. This weekend was, you saw the Falcons get a win over the Cowboys, and you saw Dak Prescott gets caught on the sidelines with a camera pointing right at him. And he looks right at one of the guys standing next to him, and he looks right, which is right at the camera, and says, "We effing suck." And it's as clear can be. So Dak even knows they're on the downturn.
By the way, on Dak, within the last 15, 20 minutes, it sounds like his hamstring is bad. He's going to miss a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So they were cooked with Dak. They're definitely cooked now.
So, and you saw Mike McCarthy throwing a Microsoft Surface Pro to the ground. He's pissed off. And Jerry says by the trade deadline, they're all in. They're going all in, which really they should be selling. They're not a good football team. Did you see next year 45% of their team salary cap goes to Dak and CeeDee Lamb? Dak is going to make $90 million next year.
And you know what's funny is you only pay that much money, Bill, to a quarterback and a wide receiver like that if you know they can carry it.
Right.
Like you pay that money to Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase knowing, well, they'll do most of the work and we can, fill in the cracks. This year has been an example so far of CeeDee Lamb and Dak alone aren't good enough. Right. So it's made both of those extensions from the offseason look so bad.
Yeah, it's oof. It down in Dallas, it's bad. And the expectations were so high after what they did last year, but I think everybody foreshadowed this saying, what did you do in the offseason to get better? And if you're not getting better in the offseason, you're getting worse in the NFL.
Dalvin Cook was their number one running back yesterday.
Right.
And the only reason Zeke, they had to leave at home because he doesn't show up to meetings. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, Zeke Elliott got left back for disciplinary reasons because he's not coming to meetings. He's been late numerous times, and he just hasn't shown up at other times. So he clearly doesn't care.
Which, by the way, I'd be like, Zeke, do you think we keep you here because you're rushing for 1,000 yards? No, you're supposed to be a leader, a veteran, a presence on this team.
Yeah.
Dope.
Back-to-back 12-win seasons only to be eliminated in the playoffs and not do anything to get better in the offseason other than spend a ton of money on two guys was not the way to go about your business. It is as much as I don't want to blame Mike McCarthy, this team has quit on Mike McCarthy. This team has just said, we're done. It doesn't matter who's coaching us, we're done. And that's the unfortunate thing. So Mike's going to lose his job at the end of the year. But yeah, the hamstring on Dak Prescott, apparently he said, yeah, it popped, and I've never felt anything like that before. So he's done for a while.
Here's a take. Is that actually going to be a net career positive for Mike McCarthy? It's like, well, good. I don't have to sit here and be the guy who takes all the blame for everything. He could go be an offensive coordinator, a respected veteran offensive coordinator for a coach. Like, what's he supposed to do in Dallas anyways? Like, I don't understand what their path or what their plan is. They don't have a plan as far as I can tell.
The knock on Mike McCarthy is his offense there's nothing special about it. It's just basically line up and go beat your guy. There's no rubs, there's no motion, there's no movement. There's nothing dynamic about it. It's like time has just very slowly passed Mike McCarthy by. And sometimes you can say, you win because of a coach or you win in spite of a coach. And the Packers won because Mike McCarthy understood the talent he had going back to 2008, 9, 10, 11. They won because he understood the talent he had. And you could just line them up, go to the line of scrimmage, and they knew there was a mismatch. But he's running the same offense. And he doesn't have that level of personnel anymore. And it's not working. And they're not changing anything. They're not making it more dynamic. So no, it's not good. Mike's going to lose his job at the end of the year if he doesn't lose it sooner, because that may be the change that Jerry makes, unfortunately. So I don't blame it all on Mike, but Mike has to shoulder some of the blame, because when your team just quits, that's coaching. You gotta take the blame for that, and they've packed it in. So anyway. The whole thing about, I see some people saying, do you miss me yet? Meaning Aaron Rodgers. Not at all. If that's where you're going with this, you are one of the stupidest football acumen people I've ever had the displeasure of talking to. Done. Have you seen what's going on over in New York? I couldn't have been more wrong this season. I thought for sure Rodgers would come back. There was a rededication. He would be not only completely healthy, but he would have worked on his mobility. He would have been all over the place. All over the place. And no, not at all. Same things, same mistakes, same ego, same condescension. He's already got a coach fired. His guy that he hand chose to run the offense has been demoted. No, not at all. And if you think that Aaron Rodgers would have been the better answer here, you have no idea what you're talking about. The last season he was here, I think part of the reason they failed was because of Rodgers. Not happening. Not at all. So I don't. But the other thing. And Thomas, you said it. Man, we were watching him the other night. He aged. I mean, you look at the difference, like at a guy like Tom. Now, Tom Brady always looks like he went to see, Dick Clark's doctor. Like he's never going to age. Rodgers has aged. Like that man looked like he lived in a cave for a while. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Brett says, I don't miss Rodgers. I miss he and Brett's attitude on the field. They controlled the game and they were, dicks about it, but he said he appreciated it. Here's my argument to that. That how do I put this? Jordan Love does not have that level of play yet. And that level, like Brett wasn't brilliant. They got it done in two different ways. Brett got it done because he was a badass. He was a guy that even if he was in a bar fight, he was going to fight you until you were dead. He had the heart of a lion. Had Rodgers had that, I think he's got another Super Bowl or two under his belt. But Rodgers was so elite mentally and gifted physically that he felt like he didn't have that same level of fight. He looked around to all the others and pointed out all the others' faults. Brett didn't do that. If you were beating that offense, Brett wanted to go punch you in the mouth. Aaron did not. I keep thinking about that play in the NFC Championship game at Lambeau Field against the Buccaneers and against Tom Brady, where you look and you see that Aaron could have ran for the touchdown. He might have gotten close to the end zone, but he could have ran for the touchdown. Brett would have ran for the touchdown. And you only need to look at the first time this team went back to the postseason in a long time when he goes flying into the end zone against Atlanta at Milwaukee County Stadium. That was the difference between the two. Favre would have taken it into the end zone. Rodgers was looking for a more cerebral way, and more precise way to put it into the end zone, and failed. That was the difference between the two. And Love doesn't have that street cred yet. He can walk around big and bad. He did it coming off of last year because of his level of confidence and his smoothness and his ability to talk to the media and his expressions, all of that, because he's now a little more veteran savvy. But he doesn't have that cred. Not yet, he doesn't. Because half a season does not a career make. He's got to continue to prove it. And as of today, he has it. He's played good in a couple of halves of ball games. But when you make the same mistake, you can't do that. You can't do it. Let's do this. We're going to talk with our guy, Mike Clemens. Mike should be most likely arriving. I believe Mike is going to be joining us here in-house. So stay tuned. Got our guy, Mike Clemens, going to be joining us coming up here in just a few. It is a Green and Gold Monday. Don't go anywhere. We got more right after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Football players are equipped with standard equipment, helmet, shoulder pads, cleats. What if the entire front line was issued Bobcat equipment from Bobcat Plus? Not only would the game be more interesting, the added Bobcat attachments would make cleanup and the turf grooming so much easier for the groundskeeper. Visit Bobcat Plus in Appleton, De Pere, Butler, Kenosha, Eau Claire, and at BobcatPlus.com. That's BobcatPlus.com. Bobcat, one tough animal.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes.
Up here.
Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute.
Yeah.
Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Just because we play indoors, it doesn't matter, man. We can play anywhere. We can play in the snow, we can play in the rain, play in the mud. That's just us, and we're built to win, man.
Those are the words of Dan Campbell, head coach, the Detroit Lions. Welcome back to the program. This portion of the program and Mike Clemens brought to you by the Bay Motel. Bay Motel and the Bay Restaurant. Bay Family Restaurant right there. Go to baymotelgreenbay.com. That's baymotelgreenbay.com or call them 920-494-3441 for reservations. Just a mile from Lambeau Field right there on South Military Avenue. They have home cooking 7 days a week, as a matter of fact. And they've got packages right now for the NFL draft, which is coming up at the end of April. So plenty of reasons to give the Bay Motel a call. BayMotelGreenBay.com. That is BayMotelGreenBay.com. Call them 920-494-3441. 920-494-3441. Give them a shout. Joining us here in studio, which is always good to get you in studio, our guy Mike Clemens. How you doing, man?
Pretty good.
Oops. There we go.
Just got back from Green Bay.
Yep.
Got some business to attend to this afternoon. This week is bye week, but, we'll spend more time just kind of looking at these first 9 games of the Packers season and maybe some other stories, some backstories. But let's get right into yesterday's game where you elect to receive and drive down the field in the rain, and you don't close the deal. You don't get a touchdown.
Right.
You end up settling for a field goal. Maybe they should have gone for it instead of kicking the field goal there. And then the Lions say, yeah, really? Okay, watch this. And they marched down the field and score. Now they're up 7-3.
Right.
But you think maybe this is a little turning point here in the second quarter where you're trying to throw a ball to your sideline to Bo Melton, and the ball's kind of overthrown. But Brian Branch, their leader on their defense, there's Xavier McKinney, if you will, in the secondary. Yep. He's in motion, he's flying, and he drills his helmet into the ear hole of Bo Melton. And they go, the rest now they call it helmet to helmet. But apparently in a review, they say, that's flagrant, and he's ejected from the game. Yep. So after the game, we asked Dan Campbell from the Lions, what did you see on that Brian Branch play? What did the refs tell you when he got ejected?
Yeah, look, as well as that's not up to me. The only explanation I got, those guys did a great job cleating them. Got a lot of respect for what they do, but they just said it came from New York, and so that's all I've got on it. And, that's the first time I've ever been a part of something like that since I've been head coach, that somebody got ejected. So I didn't see it, I don't know. I'm assuming he hit his head. Certainly try to lower your target to where, it doesn't become that, Don't ever want to take away his aggressiveness and his stinger. It's what makes him the player he is. But, it doesn't help us when he's not available. And he's got to get used to that, too. I mean, when you play in primetime games, New York's going to look at all these. They don't care about the 1 o'clock games. They do those primetime games. So understand the situation, and we'll work through it. He'll be fine.
And now I have a target because you've done it once. Now you're going to be looked at numerous times.
But isn't that interesting? Dan Campbell says when you're playing in prime time, all the eyes at the office in New York, at the NFL office, are watching your game.
Right.
If there's a half dozen games on it, they may not catch it.
Right.
They don't have to phone into the refs and say, "Oh, hey, wait a minute, eject that guy."
Right.
But when you're in prime time, everybody's watching.
Yep.
Oh, player safety.
Yeah.
That could make a difference in a game.
Right. But it was good that Bo Melton wasn't knocked out.
Yeah. Then Brian Branch is walking away from this.
Oh God. Yeah.
And he's like, okay, listen, it wasn't intentional. All right. Helmet to helmet. Wait a minute. What?
Right.
You're ejecting me? And then the Packer fans start clapping. And then he turns to the fans and gives them the double bird. Right. Oh, man, that's an unsportsmanlike. So the refs have given you 30 yards. And I think it's in that drive where now you've got a 3rd and 3, and then you have a false start. And so you send out Tucker Kraft to the left-hand side, 3rd and 8. And let's move the chains. Yeah. We're gonna take the lead in this game, and the ball bounces out of his hands. I mean, And to answer your question, Bo Melton, We did catch up with him after the game. How you doing, man? Because that was a pretty tough shot there to the helmet.
He was playing ball. I'm all good, so it is what it is. I mean, he was playing ball. He hit me after when I was in the air, so it is what it is. You feel it was a cheap shot? I mean, they can call it what it is. I mean, he playing ball. I'm not even going in front of him for that. So, I mean, I was good. I came out good, so I'm not really worried about him. He did his. He played football, man. I can't blame him for coming down and hitting. I mean, that's what he does. I'm straight, so I ain't gonna speak on it no more for sure.
So he doesn't want to call him a dirty player or a cheap shot.
Doesn't want to say it was a cheap shot.
He just said, "Hey, look, he's playing ball. That's all you can do." Which actually is kind of the high road. Why feed into the fury, so to speak? Right. So I get it. I will say this: feeding into the fury, the Lions showed up with attitude yesterday, and right off the bus, which made viral media. I mean, the internet went crazy when Amra St. Brown gets off the bus and basically, and remember, Equanimeous St. Brown played here, and Amra St. Brown gets off the bus with a shirt that just simply says "Green Bay sucks."
Yeah. Amra is a shorter dude, but quick, and smart, and he's got that swagger and that leadership to him. And in that rain, 7 targets, 7 catches, man. 56 yards, just moving the chains. That was actually his 26-yard catch was the deepest attempt that Jared Goff made in that whole game, because that's their game plan, and that's the way they run that offense. Like Jared Goff is not a 60-yard passer.
Right.
But he's high accuracy if you have him in that short to mid range.
He was fantastic.
And he was 11 for 11 to start the game in the rain.
Yeah.
11 for 11.
And
his 12th attempt, actually he was throwing it away. Live for the next play. I mean, the accuracy of that guy in that sloppy weather. And so Amon St. Brown, we were talking to him at his locker, and big, huge, Detroit reporters, gathering reporters there, and said, so you walk into the stadium today at Lambeau Field wearing a hoodie that says Green Bay sucks. What was that all about?
We're just having fun with it. I got beer poured on me last year, so maybe some bad for them.
Not only were you guys 100% on fourth downs, but 2 fourth down touchdowns. What does that say about this offense's persistence, even when the score's up?
Yeah, it says a lot. I feel like we as a team, we have the confidence to go for it, and we know that if it's 3rd and 8 or 3rd and 7, and we only get 5 yards, we probably know we're going for it on fourth down. And so when he calls a plan, we think, this play is only going to get 5 yards. I would say a few years ago, in my head, I was like, what are we doing? This is only going to get 5 yards. But now I understand that, okay, we want to get 5 yards here, and then we're going to go for on fourth down. So we know that going into games, and I feel like that's what really makes it special as an offense.
Yeah, every play is not designed to lose yardage, and every play is designed to gain 3 to 5 to begin with. And Dan Campbell has had, like Sirianni did early on in, years down with the Eagles, a ton of success on fourth down. Anything over the 50-yard line, you're probably going for on fourth down.
Lions were efficient. Did you know the Packers ended up with over 411 yards, 411 total offensive yards, but killing themselves with the penalties, with the drop passes, and Dontavian Wicks, that drop in the end zone, ball a little bit behind him,
right?
And that we'll get into that in the next segment too. In the meantime, I finished up over in the visitors' locker room talking to Jared Goff. He was asked about, did you know that, you were talking about how the Colts fans turned out. Lions had a pretty good turnout too with the Honolulu Blue jerseys in there. And after the game, they were in the concourse of Lambeau Field, and you could hear this chanting. And I think they're saying JG. That's what these Lions call him. Jared Goff, JG. That's sort of his nickname. And so Jared Goff was asked, did you hear the Lions fans as they left Lambeau that they could hear him chant his name in the concourse?
Yeah, pretty cool. I heard it all, and our fans are awesome. And they came out and showed out again today, and it's a lot of fun to play for a team that has a fan base that travels, and obviously at home what they do for us. But yeah, I'm sure the next time we play outdoors, they'll say this is the second time they played outdoors, and write a big old story about that again. And yeah, we're supposed to be the dome team who can't play outside. We're supposed to be the team that can only win one way. I think we've shown a handful of times we can win in multiple ways. We're chameleons, and whatever it takes to win in whatever way, that's what we're going to do. And I thought our game plan this week on offense, defense, and special teams was outstanding, and we executed it really well.
That's That's a guy that listened to the media that said, like he said, you've only been outside once. You should not be winning this game. You're going to face the elements, the rain, the cold, the wind. They took it to heart.
The minute this guy landed in Detroit, after being traded away by Sean McVay and the Rams to the Lions, the dude, I thought I heard this in being around him just a couple times before and following the Lions. But yesterday in the room with them, clearly Jared Goff is working with a chip on his shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
Everything that dude says is snarky that way. Like he's like that old battery commercial with the battery on his shoulder.
Go ahead, knock it off my shoulder.
Yeah, go ahead, knock it off. And that's the way he is all the time around his team and even during training camp. And Kirby Joseph, I remember Kirby Joseph, his rookie year, picked off Aaron Rodgers twice at Lambeau Field, right?
Yeah.
So there he is. And when Kirby Joseph gets that pick six off of Jordan Love, I thought that was the turning point of the game. I mean, they go up, 17-3 at that point.
Yeah.
Kirby Joseph is back there playing safety. Did you know he's actually blitzing on that play? He was going to try and make a blitz in between the right to guard and tackle on that one. They were running a stunt over Elton Jenkins, the center, and that opened up a door. You know who blew the block on that? Is Jordan Morgan, the rookie, filling in at left guard. And a linebacker comes rushing in, and he's all over Jordan Love. And Jordan Love, rather than just throw it away, he thinks he's going to lob it over somebody's head to Josh Jacobs, the running back. But instead, the ball's heavy.
And he doesn't see Kirby Joseph standing there.
And Kirby Joseph talked about getting that pick six.
So we sent the blitz, and I'm coming through the B gap, and the running back came to block me, and I shedded him, and I shedded the lineman, and I just saw Jordan Love really throw the ball, so I just jumped up, and the ball was just right there. And then shout out Levi, man, he got that block for me, and then I knew it was touchdown, but I just couldn't really believe it. But I had a blitz. Yeah. I just go get the ball. So I think he came to block me, but I shedded him, and I shedded the offensive lineman, and then Jordan Love just threw it, man. And as soon as I saw Levi block, I was like, nobody's catching me at this point. It's just crazy. I couldn't even believe it. I'm running. I seen it in slow motion, but I was just too happy. I ain't never had no pick six, so it's just my first career interception. I just, and next time I got you, though. And next time I'm in the end zone, I got it. You know what I'm saying? But this time I was just too happy. I just wanted to celebrate with my team, man.
There you go. Let's do this. We'll step out. We got Mike Clemens here in studio with us. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll continue on getting sound from inside the locker room from yesterday's contest. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Neiman Farm Services. Neiman Farm Services, helping growers all throughout the great state of Wisconsin basically make more efficiency out of their cropping operations. And then in the long run, making you money, whether it's seeding, drain tillage, and such for your the crops and such, your land. And all kinds of different things when it comes to your operation. And it's a free phone call. Give them a call, 715-650-7988 for farmers all throughout the great state of Wisconsin. Again, it's Neiman Farm Services. They really do care about the farming process here in the state. Can't lose the farmers, man. Can't lose the farmers. And they want to help you help yourself. That's Neiman Farm Services, 715-650-7988. More with Mike Clemens in studio right after this.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
I was disappointed with the number of penalties and just self-inflicted wounds that we had, and you can't do that against a really good football team. I think when you look at the sequence in terms of them kicking 3 points right before the 2-minute drive, then we have a pick six, and then they come out the second half and score a touchdown. That's a lot to overcome right there, and obviously we didn't do a good enough job to be able to overcome that.
Those are the words of Matt LaFleur. Hey, if you're going to follow the Packers or maybe follow the Brewers or the Bucks or any other sport travel trip you may have coming up, our friends over there at Dream Vacations want to help you out anywhere in the state of Wisconsin. Maybe you want to go to a resort, put your butt in the sand during February, March, or April. Put your butt in the sand, take a cruise, maybe go international or just something local, whatever it happens to be. Get a hold of our friends over there at Dream Vacations, 414-208-4221, 414-208-4221. Ask for Michael and Melissa. Again, 414-208, that's 4221. That is Dream Vacations. You can also drop our name because they also take care of military members and such as well, and they drop some of their fees, which is tremendously nice. Mike Clemens joining us here in studio. So, Mike, go ahead.
Let me ask you this question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Big unit, when you were playing offensive line, did you ever jump off sides? Did you ever have a false start?
A false start? Maybe once.
I mean, did you pride yourself in, I've got the cadence down. I know what the count is.
Yeah. I always, the playing tight end, I always knew what the cadence was, and I had really good peripheral vision.
Okay.
So I always lined up.
You're looking at the ball.
Yeah, I always lined up just far enough back that I could see the movement.
Yeah.
So if there was ever a false start, it was usually because the guy next to me moved.
Yeah.
But not me.
Yeah, you get twitchy.
Yeah.
Maybe a defensive lineman, jumps in there. A linebacker's putting his foot over the line back and forth like, they used to in high school, I guess, in college football. There's another, you get twitchy if you, in this play, it's like, oh my God, I got to pull all the way over in this. And I got to get over there, find this. I got to get over there early. And you're just thinking like, man, I need every step I can to get to the other side of the field for this big play that they got. You might jump on that. But my God, to just sit there in the rain.
Yeah.
And Jordan Love said after the game, I used to double count a couple of times. LaFleur said that they did that. But, how do you – 3 false strikes, 8 penalties in the first half. Right. Sean Ryan, your right guard, jumping off sides and killing a drive. And then, it's Jordan Love with, throwing the pick 6. His receivers are dropping passes. Dobbs dropped a pass. Dontavian Wicks dropped what could have been a touchdown with the ball. It was a little behind.
Right.
Tucker Kraft, no excuse for dropping that ball. Josh Jacobs had one bobble. And so, you go to Jordan Love about the pressure that's on him. Like, dude, if you've got guys around you and you're falling, you're becoming a horizontal. Why are you flipping the ball? Just protect the ball or ground it or something. Live for the next play. He ends up with a quarterback rating of just 69.7 against the Lions.
Yeah.
And giving up the pick 6.
Right.
It's definitely disappointing. Putting the ball in jeopardy way too many times, and definitely something I have to clean up. And I've talked about it week after week. So somewhere I just got to learn from these mistakes and clean it up. But definitely something that I'm gonna make a big focus on going forward, of just finding ways to take care of the ball better.
I get it, and I appreciate everything he said. But if you play it back after the Rams game, it's probably the exact same thing that he said.
Yeah.
In the same circumstance. It's the same thing he said in the Atlanta game from last year. Throwing a ball into coverage that he never should have thrown it on a first down. It's the same thing that he said in the NFC playoff game against San Francisco on first down, wailing it up and just getting rid of it. You gotta be smart with the football.
I think he's still got something wired in him that says, I can make this play. That I've got pressure. Mm-hmm. It must be someone I know where my guys are. If he blindfold me, I know where they are. And if I could just flip the ball in that area, that guy must be wide open.
Right.
And it's going to happen. It's not happening. It's not happening enough for him. There hasn't been that many miracle plays. Most of his plays have just been because he's followed the timing and the rhythm of the game plan. At the start of this season, 9 weeks ago, you asked me, hey, this big question. So they got all these receivers, but who's his number one? Because yesterday, you start getting into the trenches and you need somebody on third down. Do you really have a number one receiver? And I said, well, let's go through this. Christian Watson, you put him at number one because when he lines up, you see the defensive shift.
Yeah.
Because he's the deep threat. You see the safety move over. Number 2 is Romeo Doubs because he maybe is not a deep threat, but we know what he can do like he did last week or the last couple of weeks on the slants. He's the short across the middle third down guy. Dontavian Wicks, he's sort of the number 3 because the Packers think, look at the routes this guy runs. And if we could just figure out that, for him to be able to more consistently catch the ball,
right?
He could be the next guy. And I said, so by default, at the end of the day, it's Jaden Reed. Because those guys are getting covered for those various reasons, and he's the one that's wide open.
Mm-hmm.
Wide open. Well, now they've had to shift towards Jaden Reed, because anyway, he ended up being your leading receiver yesterday for 5 catches. He had the one for 41 yards. He's the guy that's, lighting up this field. He didn't talk after the game, but Christian Watson was there. And you and I talked last night at the postgame show about a kind of a boneheaded move. He had single-eye coverage, and he had a guy covering him, and he ran right toward the safety instead of the open field.
That was down near the end zone. And then there was the other one on the
near the north end zone. And then Love throws it up into this now 2-man coverage instead of these guys say, hey, look, you got single safety, cut to the right.
Yep. Get over near the sideline. Yeah. That and then the deep ball that he quit on. So, and he just stopped, which was weird too.
How do you account for too many of these penalties and drop passes against the Lions, Christian Watson?
I mean, I can, always hold myself accountable, and we want to be a team that holds each other accountable. And we got the right leaders in this locker room to go out there and, we got to do it during the week. We got to be locked in every single day leading up to the game. We're not going to do it during the game if we don't do it during the week. Honestly, I think we've been good, during the week in terms of being locked in on those things, but we just got to find a way to have it translate.
The other thing that, the Packers got away from was the run game, but that was because the pick six, and then they allowed the Detroit Lions to go right down the field. And when they got the ball first in the second half, because after that, they kind of shut the Lions down, but they allowed the Lions to go right down the field. Suddenly you're looking at 24-3. And now you're completely away from Josh Jacobs carrying the football.
Exactly. Guess what the game plan was for Detroit coming in with the weather forecast there was in rain? Run the football.
Mm-hmm.
David Montgomery.
Yep.
David Montgomery on their opening drive, I think he had 37 yards on like 5 or 6 carries. And that was going to be the plan for the Packers too with Josh Jacobs. He ended up with 13 carries for 95. He averaged 7.3 yards per carry. He had that one that he busted for 37 yards. But no, like you say, hell, after the pick six before the half, if you're down 17-3, guess what? We got to start throwing the football, right? And I think Josh Jacobs stepped up a little bit. This is a guy who comes from this losing organization, the Raiders. And now he's in that feeling yesterday, like, oh, man, we got our butts kicked today by the Lions. And we're beating ourselves. And so Josh Jacobs was at his locker with a bunch of media. He said, you know what? We were our own worst enemy today against the Lions.
Yeah, man, a lot of self-inflicted wounds, a lot of momentum killers, a lot of job killers. And that's just on us, man. I feel like we've been getting away with a lot of it because we've been kind of masking it with the wins. But when you play a good team, man, all the little things catch up to you.
The offensive line yesterday, you mentioned some of the false start penalties and such. Jordan Morgan had the one holding call because he was getting beat. Now, obviously, the missed block on the stun. But you moved one guy, which then made you move another guy. And suddenly things got a little dysfunctional yesterday. Yeah,
we talked about this at the start of this week because they had that play against the Texans where Josh Myers, your center, had to leave the game with a wrist injury. So Elton Jenkins moved over to center. And then they reshuffled, Jordan Morgan and Sean Ryan at the guards and everything. But it made me start thinking, let's start thinking about depth here. What happens to these two tackles? Because Andre Dillard, your veteran you brought in, is a healthy scratch. I mean, what is their depth at offensive tackle if one tackle goes down, right? So we started talking about this all this week, and sure enough, Josh Myers, I told you last night how bad his left hand now.
Yeah, when you described this, like, wow.
And Elton Jenkins now, who's a center? I mean, he played center in Mississippi when he was in college, and there was times where they thought maybe he would be the center of the future for this team. He's out there in the rain. He hasn't, he sat out Wednesday's practice. Thursday, he's out there in the rain. And they're all in shotgun last night, right? Yep. Which makes it even tougher. So there's all those things to consider. Sean Ryan, your right guard, he talked about just as an offensive line about their poor performance against the Lions.
We didn't really play up to our standard today. This was a North opponent. This was a huge game for us. It's one of those games where you wish you could have it back, but you just got to look at it, be really critical about yourself and what you could have done better and then what your unit could have done better. And then, as a whole, offense and defense and special teams, we got to cut some things out.
Were you surprised they had Elton Jenkins play center instead of Zach Tom?
No.
Because I know Zach Tom worked out at center a little bit last year and this year.
Yeah, no. And then they got the rookie Josh Monk there. No, I thought it was going to be Elton Jenkins, all along if Josh Myers couldn't go. And when the injury report came out at 3:00 Friday afternoon and said doubtful for Myers, like, okay, this is probably what's going to happen here. I actually thought it would be Morgan at the right guard and Sean Ryan moved over to the left guard position, but they kept them in their spots. But then you go to the veteran Elton Jenkins, Pro Bowler, and say to him, hey, dude, you had 3 bad snaps in shotgun. At one point, remember, he had on second and third down, fumbled snaps to Jordan Love in shotgun. And Elton Jenkins talked about what happened on that.
My hand was wet. I was trying to dry it off. I just got to be better, honestly. No matter if if it's wet, dry, whatever, I got to get the ball. That's my job, to get the ball to the quarterback. We in Green Bay. We playing these conditions. We just got to execute better. I got to, get the ball to the quarterback, obviously with the snaps and stuff like that. I don't feel like it was obviously today it was a big deal, but, this is what we do. We play in weather like this. You never know. It's an outdoor field, so we just got to be able, to adjust and things like that.
I get the weather played a role in all of this. I just keep thinking to myself, it didn't seem to faze the Lions at all. It's like they were ready. It's like they'd been practicing underwater all week.
No, I got excited when Jordan Love actually went back under center for a little bit there in the second half.
Yeah.
Like, okay, hey, maybe this is going to work. Defensively, it's like you guys are saying on the show earlier today. It's like, come on, it's the Detroit Lions. This is the hottest offense in the NFL. This tremendous defensive line, 2 great running backs, an assortment of wide receivers. And they didn't even have their Jameson Williams, the kid that we talked about that's, suspended right now, out on the field. So you talked to Xavier McKinney, your defensive captain for all sorts of purposes, about losing to an NFC North rival like the Lions yesterday.
We put ourselves in a hole, being 0-2 in the division. And, luckily we play the Lions again. We play the Vikings again. We got to take care of our business next time we play these teams.
He's not afraid to call them out. Remember last week he said, we talked about, what do you think about the Lions and these plays? They get in the red zone and then, they bring in an eligible receiver and they're trying to throw touchdowns to tackles, or they got David Montgomery playing quarterback and all that. And his saying was, we're onto them. They try to embarrass people.
Yeah.
So it's there, man.
Yep. And
it's there between
Packers
these two
defensively
teams.
Didn't play bad. I said this earlier today. I said, because somebody had said to me they're an average team. I said, no, they're an above average team, but they're not that elite level team because of the stupid mistakes that they keep making. Elite level teams, and you saw that. The difference between those two teams yesterday was basically one team was very disciplined and sure of what they were doing, and the other team had a lot of undisciplined mistakes yesterday.
You go into a bye week, and then after that, we're in Chicago, right?
Yep, we'll be in Chicago.
So you self-scout, and you go to Tucker Kraft, who, dropped that one yesterday at 3rd and 8 on the Packers sideline, and say, you're 6-3. What's your focus, heading into your bye week?
We're frustrated because we lost games that we think we definitely shouldn't have lost. Coming out of the bye, guys going to get rested up. I think we got to lean on changing our demeanor, playing more smash mouth, really forcing the rock. That's going to come to, lining up with precision and executing.
He wants to run the ball.
Yeah.
He's calling out his quarterback.
Yeah.
Run the damn football.
Right. Every offensive lineman wants to see that to be able to get downfield blocks, and he's great at downfield blocking.
And he had the tight end sneak yesterday.
Yeah. Yep.
To get a first down.
He's great at downfield blocking, no doubt. Let's do this. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We'll come back and wrap it up with Mike. But this portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Birdie Boys Indoor Golf and Indoor Golf Facility. 6 simulators. They have a full bar, big kitchen. They serve a lot of appetizers and stuff. And it's family owned. They opened up about a year ago. They've got True Golf on one side, the other simulators on the other. The other simulators, by the way, have both Whistling Straits and they've got Black Wolf Run. They have got the Irish Course. They've got Erin Hills. So a lot of cool stuff. If you want to go play some indoor golf and keep your swing on, whether it's you, leagues, 2-man scrambles, they've got all kinds of stuff over there. Leagues available right now. Go to Birdie Boys, BOYZ, birdieboysindoorgolf.com on Pilot Court in Waukesha, Wisconsin. Birdie Boys, BOYZ, indoorgolf.com. birdieboysindoorgolf.com, or call them direct for more information and to make a tee time. 262-875-3066, 262-875-3066. We wrap it up with Mike Clemens right here in studio next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The kick is up and wide left.
Why don't they customize the goalposts?
Gina Della from Pella, how'd you get into the booth?
No, listen. If they made our goalposts just a little wider, and why just yellow? It's Green Bay. Add some green stripes.
Sure, Gina. Should they also remove the G at midfield and paint a Pella crest?
Okay, Wayne, I get it. You can't customize a football game to go the way you want, but Pella can can customize your home the way you want. From durable materials and fold-away hardware to custom colors and ease of maintenance, backed by quality craftsmanship, energy efficiency, and warranties that will last for years.
And this has got to be the Pella Dagger.
Right now, get 0% interest for up to 60 months at PellaWI.com. Okay, now I've got popcorn and soda.
Right here.
$22.50, please.
Too bad we can't customize concession prices.
That's it. You got this, partner? I'm out of here.
Hold your appointment on or before November 8th. Certain restrictions apply.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Right off the jump, we get a personal foul, whatever they called on Keyshawn, the 15-yarder, which is totally unacceptable. And then we had multiple, they have their first drive. It's 4th and goal on the 5-yard line. We jump off sides. It gives them an opportunity. They go for it. They get a touchdown there. And then when we were driving or getting into scoring position, we had false starts. We had snaps. The ball was on the ground. Just way too many mistakes.
There you go. Mr. Yes, baby. I'm going to agree.
Powers.
Yeah, a little Austin Powers. I'm going to agree with all of everything that Matt LaFleur said there. So there you go.
Last off season, you know, you watch these games, you're into them, you watch them a couple times, you're at practice every day, you know, you're into it. And then a couple months go by after the Super Bowl, and then you gotta bring that stuff back up, like why the Brewers are, you know, just getting into their season start, that kind of thing. And you got to watch the games a little bit more objectively. And you see Jordan Love go through a 4-game losing streak last season. And then all of a sudden, they beat the Lions and they beat the Chiefs in weather like last night at Lambeau Field. And then, of course, the masterpiece against the Cowboys. And then they lose, ironically, in the rain to the 49ers out there in San Francisco like last night. But at the end of the day, it's just like Jordan Love just got into the zone. They went from a 3-5 team a year ago at this time to into the playoffs and just destroyed the Cowboys. And the Cowboys have not recovered since that game.
No, they're 3-6
that's
a whole other
now.
story. We can sit and talk Cowboys football forever.
And so when people like you would say, well, Jordan Love, are they going to pay him? Do you think he's a franchise quarterback? Did you see enough? I said, yeah, but he was playing in the zone. So I'm just going to anticipate he'll be in a little bit of a sophomore slump. He's got to be. Yeah. Well, hell, he injures his knee. Now this groin injury thing. And maybe a little bit of moving parts around him, but he pretty much has got the same unit as he had last year. Listen to what Tom Brady was saying about Jordan's decision-making during that game last night.
Here is Love. Can't find anyone. Love all right in deep trouble. And now he loses it. Yes. Boy, that could have been an absolute disaster.
Again, it's not needed at that point. It's 2nd and 1. You've got 2 more downs. At some point, hand it off to get the first down here. If it's not there, you can't have negative plays. And again, this is just a little bit what reminds me of what happened before half. You try to do too much. And again, you do that as a player with not a lot of experience. It's all about decision making. It's all about processing the moment that you're in. The moment doesn't require that type of play.
There you go. The moment doesn't require that type of play. That's exactly some of the things that we've been saying for a while now. Good stuff, Mike. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it.
There you go. That's going to do it. Mike Clemens, brought to you by our good friends over there at the Bay Motel, Green Bay. Bay Motel, quiet, cozy, comfortable, and a perfect for a family stay. And don't forget they got packages available, getting you ready for the NFL draft as well. It's been a fantastic Green and Gold Monday. It's time for us to get out of here. We'll talk again